Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unscripted Access, episode number 113. You're here with your host, Nick McCandless. On this week's show, we have Anthony Ta.
Hello.
And that is it. We're rolling with a two-person cast this week, unfortunately, just because of work and school and a bunch of other things going on in other staff members' lives. But you have Anthony and I here. So we have a pretty news-packed, well, I won't say news-packed, but we just had a pretty big event go on, not just for gaming, but technology in general, although gaming also was heavily involved. Microsoft hosted their Windows 10 event. So if you've been kind of out of the blue and not following anything that's going on, Microsoft decided that we're not going to have a Windows 9. We're going to go from Windows 8 to Windows 10. Personally, Windows 8 to me was awful. Windows 7 I thought was good, but Windows 8 they tried to revolutionize PC, but in a bad way, to where it just made the user experience not any better whatsoever. So Microsoft went ahead and announced, well, they didn't announce, but they showed off more Windows 10 today. And one of the biggest surprises is that for the first year after launch, all owners of Windows 7 and Windows 8 will be able to upgrade to Windows 10 completely free. Completely free. There will not be.
Wait, what?
Yeah, completely free. Microsoft.
So you're telling me my desktop, which runs on Windows 7, and my laptop, which runs Windows 8.1, could just go to 10 for free in the first year?
Yep. Within the first year, you can upgrade for free. They came out and they said that it's like this whole new, you got to realize, I really do think we're talking with a new Microsoft here. We have a brand new CEO that he just seems more of a people person than, I liked Steve Ballmer, don't get me wrong, but the new CEO seems to be much more with the new way of things. And the new way of things is you don't charge for updates. Like, people buy your products because you supply those updates. Apple started doing this a few years ago. Before, with Apple, they used to only charge like $30 or $40 to upgrade the operating system. But with Windows, it's always been like $150. And then if you want to buy a new operating system, you have to pay like $300 for the license. So Microsoft came out, made a big statement saying Windows 10 completely free if you upgrade within the first year. I think part of it also is because they know they kind of messed up with Windows 8. They know they messed up with Windows 8, and I'm sure that they had a lot, maybe not a substantial amount, but I'm sure many customers decided that, hey, I don't want to mess with Windows 8, let me go and go to a Mac. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that people are looking to buy the budget $300 laptops are automatically going to go buy a $1,000 plus machine, but someone that's going to spend $700, $800 on a PC may have decided to make the jump to Mac simply because they did not like Windows 8. What do you think, Anthony?
Windows 8, like, to me, having used a Windows 8.1 computer, it's okay. You kind of have to get used to it, but here's the thing. It's not as good as Windows 7, for sure. At least from my view. And Microsoft just has this pattern that they have a lot. Like, Windows 95 and 98 were good for their time, even though they blue screened during a televised event. Windows ME was terrible. Windows XP was good for its time.
Windows XP was definitely really good for its time.
It's really good for its time. It hasn't aged well, has a lot of security problems, but for its time, it was way better than Windows ME. And people accepted it. Vista, not very good. I mean,
Vista was pretty bad.
The nicest thing I could say about Vista is that it is barely okay if you can shut up the cancel or allow, but even then, freaking Vista was this radical jump that they didn't really fully polish. 7 was Vista, but fixed, and guess what? Still awesome. Like, people are still like, no, we want Windows 7, and they still come in. There's still an option for operating system installs for PCs. And then they had 8, which, from as far as I could tell, they took Windows 7, slightly optimized it, and tried to appify it, which didn't work, in my opinion, because now it's this awkward mix between Windows 7 and an app operating system. It's weird. Like, I like the start screen. Everyone complains about the start menu, but to me, the start screen has appeal because all you do is hit the start button to get to the start screen, click once, bam, your program is right there. The problem is again, they try to appify it, and it's annoying trying to get rid of that appified junk on your screen. It's okay. So, and that's how it's been the pattern. Mediocrity, good. Mediocrity, good. And, now it's Windows 10, and it's like, wow, this is like this new radical jump. And, hey, who knows? It might turn out well. The fact that they're giving it for free actually is a nice incentive for people who think, I don't know Windows 10 is going to be good. Well, you can now try it. It's free. It's going to come on the first year. You got Windows 7 or 8, which just about every computer nowadays do. Bam, there you go. Windows 10. You can try it. And if you like it, you'll like it. If you don't like it, you can stick with Windows 7 because that will be supported until 2020. So then you still have 5 years from today, I think. Something like that.
Right. So,
but free upgrades? Wow, I'm really, really... I mean, seriously, if all my stuff on 7 still runs on... Like I use Adobe CS. If Adobe CS works in Windows 10, hey, I could make the move up there. That's fine. Like, my PC still has a lot of life left in it. It's got an i7. The only thing it needs an upgrade is the graphics card. That's it. That's the only thing left in it that can be upgraded at this point.
Right.
But, who knows? 10 could be good if they follow the pattern. Or 10 could be... It could be worrying because it's such a radical thing. Because, Microsoft's still kind of prone to... It's not like with Apple where everything Apple does is at least good or, reasonably good enough that its customers are happy with it. Microsoft has always kind of been an on-off kind of thing. One day you're happy with them. I mean, Windows 8 is a perfect example. I'm okay with it once I can get past, all the Appify BS. But lots of people don't like it and would rather have 7. So.
Exactly, and that's why I prefer to go with Mac. Like, yes, you do pay a substantial amount to go to Mac, but the thing is, you could have the most powerful PC on earth, and you will have issues. And it's not because of the hardware, it's because of the software. Whereas with Macs, just for example, when I went out of town for the holidays, and I spent many hours in the airport because flying there and back, I had several delays. It was very frustrating. I saw at least probably 4 to 5 people using MacBooks that were at least 6 to 7 years old. And I knew that because they had the colored, like, black plastic MacBooks, which are extremely old. That's like, I think to have one of those, you're talking about at least 6 years because they went to this new aluminum, like, high build with the newer MacBooks. People rocking like 6-year-old MacBooks without a problem. And it just all comes down to, now, personally, I mean, I've had my MacBook for almost 3 years. This summer it'll be 3 years. And I definitely don't see myself using it for another 3 years. But the fact that I have a MacBook that is coming up on 3 years old and it doesn't feel a single bit dated whatsoever tells you something. So that's why I personally enjoy Macs. Now, obviously, for gaming, PC is definitely your better option to go because of the customization, the lower cost. Yes, you can install Boot Camp and run Parallels and run Windows on a Mac, but you'd be looking to go to the Mac Pro, and then I think the Mac Pro starts at like $3,500, which, don't get me wrong, that's a pretty powerful machine. But for $3,500, you can have a PC built that's much stronger. Like I said, I mean, at that point, if you're spending $3,500 on a desktop, you're looking for a desktop that you don't have to upgrade for quite some time.
Yeah,
I mean,
at $3,500, you're looking at like 6-core CPUs and 2 video cards at least.
Right.
I mean, that's some really high-end stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's great news for. I mean, I have a gaming PC. Honestly, I don't think I've played a single game on it in probably 8 to 10 months. But I do have Windows 7 installed on the machine. So will I upgrade? Probably. I just don't honestly see myself PC gaming much, just because at this current standpoint, like it was a little bit different a couple years ago. A couple years ago, I started using my gaming PC, and the big reason for that was because the PS3 and 360 had been out for like 6 years at that point, and they just were not. I mean, you could tell it was time for a new console to come, because you see the PC version, then you see the console version, and light years ahead. So I started playing like Borderlands 2, played completely on PC, because the difference was just not even comparable between the two. But now, some games, do you see a difference? Yes. But it is not big enough for me to prefer it on my PC. Will it stay that way? Probably 3 years from now, we'll be talking about something totally different. But for now, I'm satisfied with how the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One games look. Like I said, that will change as time progresses. A big thing, focusing on gaming here, a big thing that was talked about was DirectX 12. So DirectX 12 will be coming in Windows 10, and Microsoft and Phil Spencer was actually there, the head of Xbox. He was there, which is pretty big. Pretty much making a statement that, hey, like from this point forward, Xbox is going to be a crucial part of every platform, not just PC, but also the mobile. Like, they've done little gimmicky things here and there, but you can tell that Phil Spencer, and I think Phil Spencer is the perfect guy to be running Xbox division. Since he's came in, Microsoft made a complete 180 and is just like totally different company. But yeah, so they announced DirectX. Well, they announced DirectX 12. They just talked about DirectX 12, and Phil Spencer ran some demos. And what he's saying is that DirectX 12 should be able to providing games up to 50% increase in performance. I know, Anthony, you're a little bit more educated on PC gaming than me. What's your take on DirectX 12?
The best thing that could happen with DirectX 12, you're talking about an Xbox One with inferior hardware that can almost match a PS4. That's the ideal solution, or maybe even surpass it. So here's the thing, from a programmer's viewpoint. So what you do is that when you write code, you have to talk to like some API. So when you say draw this, it basically goes through DirectX or OpenGL, or in newer cases, Mantle. It talks to some middleman that sits in between like the graphics card and your code in the operating system to say, okay, draw this, use this effect. So it kind of helps you code, because low-level code is kind of a bit of a pain. So what AMD has did and Microsoft has kind of followed is, instead of having all this bloat in the middle, they're going to take some of that bloat out. So the developers are closer to the hardware and have finer control. So what does this finer control means? Well, you have less junk sitting around, because when you make something really generalized, you kind of have to interpret it a lot. Like you say, draw just this geometry, draw this triangle for this 3D model. Well, if you have like a really bloated thing, that could be like 70 commands, for example. But what if you could draw that same thing in only 30 commands, because the programmer knows exactly what commands to call, and he can make that call more directly to the GPU instead of having to talk to a middleman. You're talking about performance increase, because that's fewer commands it has to process. Stuff like that. It's better for memory. It's better for execution times. And that's what DirectX 12 is aiming to do, is trim itself and be faster, lighter. And here's the thing. The PlayStation 4 obviously can't use DirectX. It can use like OpenGL, which is open source, I think, in a way. So this is why Xbox fans have something to get excited about. You've got tech that allows developers to sit closer to the hardware, which means there's less bloat, and less bloat means a faster system. 50% is really ideal. You probably have to do something really, really, really specific to get your 50%, but 10 or 15%, yeah, that could happen, I guess. That could happen. And I think that could give PlayStation a heart attack if those claims are true. Can you imagine the kind of riots that would happen if you had the
Well,
exact game? Well, sorry.
sorry to cut you off, Anthony, but while you're talking about this, brings up an interesting point. So the one thing with Microsoft, so let's say with Microsoft, they make like for example, when they cut out like before your game, they in their SDK, there's a part of the hardware you cannot touch because for Kinect. Well, they removed that support, and that gave developers, what was it, like 10-15% more power or whatever on the graphics side. So Microsoft's been very, very public about speaking out these little minor enhancements they're making to the Xbox One. Let's not forget that Sony is doing the exact same thing. They have what's called their ICE team, and they're doing the exact same thing. The only difference is that Sony is not near as public about it. I encourage you guys to look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about, but you just type PlayStation 4 ICE team into Google, you'll find it. And essentially, it is a team with Sony, and their job is to continue optimizing the PlayStation 4 to make the PlayStation 4 last much longer than where it's currently at. They work directly with Naughty Dog, for example. So with Uncharted 4, part of the reason why it looks so good is because they're working very closely with Naughty Dog so they can work out all the tricks with the PlayStation 4 system. And that's another thing they're responsible for. Yeah, they're not working with the multi-platform companies, but they're working with Sony's first-party studios and telling them, hey, here's a little trick to do this, or here's how you can optimize this. And they're releasing little software improvements to improve the PlayStation 4's GPU. So obviously this is all software-based hardware they can't change. It's not like they can send a new, like, updated graphics card through your Ethernet cable or through a wireless network. What's in there is what's in there. But
yes,
they are able to make...
It's like, new graphics card.
Yeah. Would be nice. No, now it's all software. And Sony has this ICE team, and that's what they've been working on. So just because you don't see Sony talking about it, do not think that Sony's oblivious to all of this stuff and is just gonna let Microsoft pull out with this. Because I mean, what team does better is another story. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But Sony has, from the very, very beginning, they have told people any game you play on PlayStation 4 will look better than if played on a competitor system. Jack Tretton, although he's no longer with Sony, he made that clear. Various other developers have made that clear. Sony has said our console games will look best on the PlayStation 4. Obviously talking about consoles. So if Microsoft were able to turn this around with DirectX 12 or these other enhancements, Sony would kind of be eating their own crap. So don't think that Sony's just sitting there and letting this happen. Let's keep in mind here, Microsoft is a software company. Sony is a hardware company. As far as software goes, they've improved with the PlayStation 4. I mean, I remember when the PlayStation 3 first came out, the operating system, XMB, it was bad. The network was awful. But look where Sony's at now. Yes, Xbox Live was kind of good from the get-go with the Xbox 360, but Sony has showed more improvement in less time than we've seen from Microsoft. But who knows? We've seen what Phil Spencer's done with Xbox. He removed this whole, we're going to allocate this many resources to the Kinect so you can't use it. We're going to release the Xbox One where you don't have to get the Kinect. We're going to drop the price of the Xbox One. Like, he's the guy that's making all these decisions. If Don Mattrick was still ahead of Xbox, probably would not have seen most of this stuff happening. And the Xbox One may be in a lot more shit than it currently is. Right now, yes, the Xbox One did outsell the PlayStation 4 during the holidays, but if it didn't, then it might have been time for Microsoft to pack their bags because they're pretty much giving the console away. But at the same time, any other month, PlayStation 4 is outsold the Xbox One, even when it's had its bigger launch titles. And Sony's on an extremely fast selling pace. Xbox One's on a very healthy selling pace as well. And with Microsoft, they made a huge, I think it was really dumb when they came out and said, the Xbox One's coming back to normal price. But 3 days later, they're like, no, we'll bump back to $350. Very smart, because the thing is, with these console races and these console wars, it's very difficult. You have to gain your traction from the beginning, because what happens is if all of a sudden the PlayStation 4 takes off the first 2 years and the Xbox One's only selling somewhat decent, the problem you're going to run into is the fact that now everyone has a PlayStation 4. So when someone's trying to figure out which console to buy, they're going to buy the PlayStation 4 because their friends have it. So that's what Microsoft's trying to prevent, and they're trying to not necessarily catch up, but stay steady and close to the PlayStation 4 so that it stays a battle from day one until the day that these consoles are obsolete. So,
the ICE team, yeah, see, I didn't know about the ICE team because I don't read into PlayStation news very often. The thing that kind of stood out to me, the thing is that whenever an operating system or a game talks to a graphics card, it has to go through some middleman at some point. And for Microsoft, that's DirectX, and that has kind of been like the standard API that people have gone to for a long time. I mean, there was like OpenGL. OpenGL is there too, and OpenGL is open source, and you can run it on Linux and you can run it on Mac, I think. It's open source. Here's the thing that kind of stood out to me. Microsoft has like complete control over DirectX 12. They could change that. Sony, I don't think they have complete control over OpenGL. So those 70 commands that it takes to draw that model could still be 70 commands at the end of the day. They could like optimize the code in the higher end on how to make that model faster to go through those 70 commands. But it's still 70 commands unless they have like some team that's working directly with the OpenGL team. Whereas Microsoft with DirectX, they could be like, yeah, we own it. We could just change it how we want. Boom, 40 commands now.
Yeah, for us Apple, sorry, but for us, just really quick, for us iPhone, such as myself, something similar to what Anthony's talked about is with iOS, they released Metal, which pretty much, it's very similar. Pretty much you're coding and writing closer to the chip. So you're able to get the same results with less load on the hardware, which is why they call it Metal, because you're closer to the metal, which is the chip. And because of that, you're able to get, as soon as iOS 8 came out, there was plenty of iOS that came out and just blew other games out of the water graphically, just because of the fact that you're able to do more with the same hardware, and you take even faster hardware, then you can scale it up even more. But sorry, continue. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. But I kind of am glad that they do like these API adjustments, because nowadays it's like a lot more about software, and it's kind of cool because DirectX 12 isn't something that's just gonna stick with an Xbox. It's gonna be a PC thing too, for sure. And I don't know, it's going to be very interesting. Like, I may be more knowledgeable about computer program, but I don't know everything about computer program. I actually don't know much about computer graphics. And it will be very interesting, because if Microsoft claims 50%, I mean, let's be honest, our companies usually make claims, but when they do, it's usually it's a very ultra specific situation with very specific code that is very finely optimized for DirectX 12, and then somehow was a little botched into DirectX 11, hence the 50% claim. I feel like it's more like a 10 or 20% at best on a day-to-day regular use. PlayStation ICE team. Very interesting to see what they can do, because I don't think they have the power to, directly influence OpenGL, which I'm pretty sure the system uses, because OpenGL is like run by a different group. But you don't really have any other API to go to. And you could ask Mantle, because what Mantle is that's one of those low-level APIs that AMD came up with to try and convince people, look, with Mantle and AMD graphics cards, you can, with a cheaper card, even though it's less efficient, you can get the same frame rates as a GeForce 680 or 670 or something like that. Didn't really catch on, but that could be an option. Don't know if anyone's gonna, I don't know if Sony's gonna use that, because the PS4 comes with an AMD graphics chip, comes with Radeon, comes with Graphics Core Next, and Mantle is compatible with Graphics Core Next. So you never know, maybe the ICE team could consider Mantle, or they're just gonna continue optimizing the higher level software. But it's gonna be really interesting. Like, it's gonna be crazy when they say you don't need new game consoles because you got your 10% boost already. Here's some new code. It's amazing what you can do when you optimize code. It is incredible. It's how like Windows. It's probably like how stuff like Windows 7 lasts as long as it. No, wait, that's the wrong example. Like optimized code. It's like how stuff like The Last of Us looks as good as it did on a PlayStation 3, which only has 256 megabytes of system memory and 256 megabytes of video memory. Something like The Last of Us, if you optimize it perfectly, it will look that good without the frame rate crying in pain. Optimizing. It's how Grand Theft Auto 5 had that huge city and put sandy shores and put a mountain in and a forest north end. All in one seamless city that you can fly over without a hitch. So it's going to be really, really interesting because those improvements, hey, you don't have to design a new game console for a longer period of time. It's going to be sweet.
Right. Well, continuing along with Microsoft's event, they announced that they're not necessarily doing away, but they're coming out with a new web browser, and they're not calling it Internet Explorer. It's kind of funny. So they're having Cortana, which is from Halo, and that's going to be like your pretty much Siri on steroids, like your voice assistant. That's going to be heavily integrated within Windows 10. So what do you think they called their web browser? They called it Project Spartan.
Here's what I personally think. So Cortana is a pretty interesting decision because it's good and kind of lame at the same time. Good news. Well, Siri and Google search sound a little creepy. In 2.5 miles, turn right for your destination. So they basically just sound like GPS. With Cortana, I think it's supposed to sound more natural.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And kind of lame decision. Well, Cortana died in Halo 4, if I'm correct. But she will live on in your Windows PC. That's the awkward part. Okay, I understand Cortana's cool and Halo has a lot of pop culture meaning, but wow, it's kind of riding the train a little too much. Anyways, that's the Cortana rant. I mean, is it gonna work well? I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it looks promising, but you never know until you actually using it.
I mean, Cortana's available for Windows Phone now for those who actually do have one, which I don't know because...
Yeah, they don't even... Microsoft phones are like less than 10% of the mobile market. It's crazy.
I said it's even less than 5%. Android dominates like 2/3 the pie chart, and Apple eats up almost the rest of the third of the pie chart. I mean, it's basically like that. Like Windows, and another reason about Windows Phone, can you find one at your local carrier? Like Sprint only sells like one or two cheapo Windows phones. There's no Nokia Lumia S or something like that.
Yeah, Sprint just got their first Lumia phone, I think.
Because I really actually would have wanted, what was that called? That was like that Nokia Lumia that they had that I was really interested in because, I kind of like having nice cameras on my phones, but they didn't have it. So it was only available at AT&T or something. So, and I'm with Sprint. So yeah, I couldn't get a Nokia Lumia. I mean, I'm pretty sure Windows Phone is an okay operating system. Much like how Android, I personally think Android's alright. So yeah, I mean, all I have to do is live with the fact that apps don't exist on the Windows Phone because since nobody uses it, nobody makes apps for it, and because nobody makes apps for it, people don't buy it, which means nobody makes. It's like this circular loop with the Vita.
Right.
Same kind of problem. So that's the rant on Cortana bit.
Yeah, the company I work for, the app company, to this day we still have not built a Windows app just because.
Nobody has that phone.
It's just there's no reason to. It's like the cost of building the app for Windows Phone versus the amount of users you're going to get out of it just doesn't equate. It's not worth it. Like, unless you're Twitter, obviously your big mainstream apps, of course they are. You're going to have your Twitter, your Facebook, your YouTube, but the mid to low range, more than likely not going to be there. But continuing on, so what's... Oh, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so for their web browser. I think it's a good idea they're killing the Internet Explorer name. Because here's the thing, Internet Explorer 10, 11, whatever the
11
latest
was the latest.
11. Here's the thing, that's actually not a bad web browser. It works. It works well. But here's the problem. Internet Explorer 6 completely wrecked the name for good at that point. And Internet Explorer 6 was what originally came with Windows 7. Security problems, slow, lousy. And then 7 and 8 were bloated, slow, lousy, and that's pretty much just how Firefox and Chrome just came in and took over. And Chrome today continues to eat up the pie chart. So Internet Explorer was like 11 is good. It runs pretty fast. 11, like if Chrome and Firefox were like somehow completely obliterated off the face of the earth, you know what? 11 is actually pretty usable. I'm fine with it. That being said, it carries the Internet Explorer name, which immediately, I mean, I freaking go on forums and see people just say, oh, just because it's called Internet Explorer, they say it's crap, even though I've personally used it and thought it was alright. And
yeah, Internet Explorer has a bad rep for sure.
For forever now, it's gone. Like freaking, what's the first thing people do when they get like when I got my new laptop? What's the first thing that I did on it? Installed Google Chrome. That's the first thing I did on. That's one of the first things I did on it. Didn't want to use Internet Explorer, even though it was alright. Just wanted Chrome. And considering that they link it to Google accounts now, that's also a big deal. For some people. Calling it Project Spartan. Oh boy, let's make Halo a part of Windows. Because that's like the only thing, like freaking it just wasn't enough to put Cortana as your search assistant now. You need to put in more Halo because Halo will sell your Windows computer. And just make a Halo branded PC sold by Microsoft, the Spartan Surface Pro 4.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with something like that.
Yeah, they probably would make it Halo themed, and because that is like the pop culture franchise that Microsoft has. I mean, Forza's on its way up, but it's about Halo. It's about Halo. I mean, like Halo 3, people are lining up like crazy for that, and people still buy Xboxes for Halo. Sort of for Forza, but Halo's
the month Halo 5 comes out, I'm pretty sure, unless it like comes out the same month as, let's say, Uncharted 4, the Xbox One probably has a good chance of outselling the PlayStation 4 that month, because Halo 5 is going to be so freaking huge. It's going to be ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Like, freaking Halo 4 is not really what you would call traditional Halo. Like, you know, just ask Bronson. But people still bought it. Just because it says Halo on it, and, you know, it wasn't a bad game. And Halo 5 Guardians is... well, it's Halo. How good is the internet browser going to be? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like 11, but slightly better, because knowing Microsoft these days, they're kind of slowly rebuilding to something better.
Well, they have been. I mean, along with usually when you give it a new name or like a new version number, you make a pretty big change, and that's what they've done. So essentially, it's going to be a brand new rendering engine. It's a more clean, like, user interface, more streamlined appearance, designed for not just desktops, but mobile and tablets. You have the ability to like annotate web pages and share them, reading lists. Very similar to what Apple's done with Safari. Very, very simple. Built-in PDF support, Cortana support, etc. So, pretty much the big thing I got out of this is pretty much they've looked at Safari and seeing what Apple's doing that they're not doing, and they're like, okay, we're going to do most of that stuff and call it Project Spartan. And that's what they did. So
I just had this random thought for a second. So you do a voice command, and obviously Microsoft has Cortana, and their search engine is called Bing. And they tried to make Bing like Google and use it as a verb. Cortana, Bing for GT. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's going to sound a little awkward, but yeah, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, that's just a random thought. Here's the thing, though, is are people going to use this new web browser since they're going to do a major change, give it a new name? It's like a brand new, all new web browser. Are people going to jump onto it? Probably not, because some people are like surprisingly stubborn. Like, Internet Explorer 6 was used for a long time, considering all those security holes and the fact that Internet Explorer like 8 or 9 was already out. I think people could still be sticking to Chrome. It's going to take a long time. I mean, let me put this analogy. Wagons. Cars. Like cars, wagons. They look like SUVs, but like lower because wagons don't exist anymore. I could talk all about how they are just like a normal car with more space. You get SUV space in there. They're totally different from the wagons from the 80s. They're more efficient. They're just like cars. You can put space in them. They're fast. They handle better. They're safer. They can still go through snow if you get four-wheel drive. Wagons are like the perfect choice, and they make total sense. But, like, I had a conversation with my dad one day, and when I told him wagons, he's like, oh no, they're so ugly. Because his image of the wagon was still this 1980s giant wood panel thing that was ultra slow and completely hopeless. And that's what I kind of feel a lot of enthusiasts at the very least, will feel about the new web browser. They're just going to think that because it's still Microsoft, they're probably going to just assume, oh, it's just Internet Explorer with a new badge on it. Even though Internet Explorer 11 was awesome and was pretty good, and they got a completely new web browser that could be complete, can just blow away and just be awesome and be faster than Chrome. It's gonna take a while, but it's gonna take a change. I mean, man, this sounds like huge. It's like you're talking about Windows 10. You're talking about a brand new web browser. It's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, and then then they announced. We're not going to talk about too much because I personally found it to be very boring, and I don't think many of our listeners would really want to listen to it. But they pretty much announced. I forgot what they called it, but they called it like a Surface something, and pretty much it's a 4K TV, but it's pretty much like a super fancy whiteboard where you can like modify and do meetings and all this stuff. Not really that interested. I don't think most of our listeners are. But what Microsoft did unveil, which the thing with Microsoft's known, keep a new product like hidden, not very likely. And that's like that with any company, because you just have so many people involved and then you're manufacturing them. Sure enough, it's going to leak out in some shape or form. Apple's probably the best, and even then they have stuff leak out weeks leading up to an announcement just because they're manufacturing them overseas. Like, someone's going to leak something. Well,
I kind of feel like the ones who are usually pretty good at controlling their leaks is Nintendo. They're usually pretty good at it.
Nintendo is good.
I mean, obviously, when it comes to hardware, someone's going to have one or two things to say, but for the most part, it's contained pretty well.
Right. And so when they announced that it's called the HoloLens, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second. But before that, it's funny. So I watched the entire conference. And they had it in on Microsoft's campus, one of their places that they use specifically for announcements. And the guy was talking about how they kept this hidden because no one had a clue that this thing was going to be announced today. It was this huge, huge deal. And he said the reason why, he's like, no one knows where this was developed. No one knows where this was made. Well, I'm going to tell you guys where. It was made underground of this building. So they have a team of people that were working on this. Like, some of the top scientists in the world had been working on this HoloLens underground. Like something you would hear about in the movie.
Sounds like a military project.
Yeah, that too. Like underground of a auditorium that's used for product announcements, and very, very tight group of top scientists and engineers and such. It was so cool listening to that. But can you imagine going to work every day and going underground? Like you have to take an elevator to go under
it's
the
not
ground?
Just that, but it's probably military grade clearance to get into that underground whatsoever. They probably run vigorous background checks, making sure they have a perfect history, and probably making sure that you're not doing anything suspicious on the internet that could cause this leak to come out. For example, myself, I don't think I would ever be allowed to work there in that underground facility because of what I do right now.
Right.
Yeah, background checks.
He might get
total
a job.
Trust that NDA disclaimers that that will guarantee you a $6 billion lawsuit or something if you open your mouth anywhere outside that underground facility. Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's probably like military grade stuff or something.
that's what they made it sound like. So this product they announced is called the HoloLens. So when the guy hit the stage, he talked about how like yes, there's virtual reality, but this goes beyond virtual reality. This is changing your world. So pretty much the difference is so virtual reality, pretty much what it is there's screens in front of you, and ideally you can move, look around, and all you'll see is what the screens are producing. So you're in this virtual world. That's why it's called virtual reality, VR. Well, this is based off hologram technology. So essentially, you put this headset on, and let's say you're in your living room. You would put this on, and then you could see, let's say, Beyonce, just as an example. You'd see Beyonce performing on your floor. Like you're not in this different looking at a screen in a different place, but you actually see Beyonce as a hologram performing on your floor, and it looks like she's giving you a private show or whatever. Now, let the jokes come in. This is going to be the next big revolution for porn. You can quote me on it.
Yes, the innuendos you just gave there, but
yeah,
wow, holy crap, Nick.
yeah, I'm sure this is the porn industry is probably going crazy right now.
Yes, pay $500 for this, and it'll be, quote, much safer too, unquote.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Can you imagine anime characters and video game characters just being abused because of this? That's just like a new level of... Yeah, you get my point.
Yeah, I'll stop right there. This is going to be huge for porn, I'm just saying. Like, the executives at the top porn companies are going nuts right now, and they're finding a way that they can start producing their porn. So when this thing comes out, you can watch your porn and look like whatever you want to happen happening. But I'm gonna leave it there. Continuing on. This is a
in more earnest applications.
Yeah. Yes. So
please.
They showed their obviously with any company, and when they announce them, they show a video, and it always looks much better than what a product really is. It's really to kind of show the concept and really sell it, and it looks really cool. So, for example, let's say you put it on in the morning and you're going to make breakfast, and this holograms in your kitchen showing you the news, and then you can move things, and then it sees your finger, and you can grab things and touch things. And well, then they actually did a live on stage demo, and it was still quite impressive. Pretty much this lady was building an object on a stage, and what they did was really cool. So she had it on, so obviously no one else could see it. But then they filmed it with another headset. I don't know how exactly they did it. So you could see exactly what she was seeing from a different depth of view of her doing it. It was pretty crazy. Pretty nuts. And this is something that you'd be dumb to believe that they're not going to integrate into the Xbox brand. Phil Spencer already came out and said, I think it was last year, after Sony announced Morpheus, that they've been working on the technology. And this is it. This has to be it. They might modify it slightly for the Xbox, but it's going to be using the same technology. I know you saw the video, Anthony. What do you think of this?
Two sides of it. One, potential. I mean, whenever you see new tech like this, endless potential. There's so many cool things you can do with it. For example, I have garbage at cooking, and I don't think a cookbook is going to solve it anytime soon. However, if I literally watched a hologram of some guy pretending to use my oven to show me how to cook and how to fling certain spices and salts and whatever sauce is in there, you know what? Being kind of like a person who's a kinesthetic learner and kind of likes to see how things are done, hey, I can learn how to cook that way. And yeah, that's just one of many examples I could think of. What else?
Imagine how big this will be for the medical field.
Oh yeah. Oh man, it'll be huge. I mean, like, there's sort of tech already. I mean, like, they're trying to use robots because, like, so you can perform a remote surgery, kind of like remote controlled surgery. Like a doctor could be far away, but through this really expensive robot technology, you can like use this kind of glove thing that allows him to perform a surgery on the spot via robotic arm. Like, that's what they have right now. But yeah, surgery, medical is a huge one. Like, medical for sure is a huge one. I mean, like, when I was visiting a hospital, they literally have a doctor and a dude who literally walks around on this portable computer workstation. Like it's like this thing on a cart that you just carry around.
My doctor
What
like
if
that too.
Yeah, it's like that's what they have at the local hospitals around here. Can you imagine that with this technology, you don't need that extra person carrying around a cart that's running on batteries? Just pull up info right there as a doctor, and you just wave your hands around. And what about games and sports? Like
they showed a tease of Minecraft.
Okay,
so you already know.
Okay, yeah.
So you already know that this is like made
Minecraft
for
2 exclusive on Xbox One. It's gonna happen.
Oh no, they're not making it. They're not making it exclusive on Xbox. Microsoft already said that they're gonna release it. The next Minecraft will already be on all platforms.
Okay, because I could just imagine them saying
Microsoft bought what they bought Minecraft. Which funny side note. Notch, who's the guy who invented Minecraft, he became like pretty much a billionaire when he sold Minecraft to Microsoft. It's ridiculous and pretty crazy. So Jay-Z and Beyonce, they're pretty much worth $1 billion together, and it was funny because this was all over in the news. They were trying to buy a mansion out here, and it's like a $70 million mansion, like freaking ridiculous. And nope. Notch came in and he kept bidding until they couldn't get it, and Notch ended up buying the house. So we can finally say that there's someone in the video game industry outbid two of the most successful musicians of all time on a mansion.
Here's a problem though, is that when he sold, like I saw someone in the comment section make a good point here. When he sold Minecraft, that is a one-time income thing, right?
Yeah. But
does he have income to sustain that house for more than a decade?
He's like Anthony. He sold it for like $2 or $3 billion. I'm pretty sure the same way
that the person who won the lottery will ever never need a job again, then they go overboard with what they buy. I mean, it's like how do football athletes go broke? I freaking watched that ESPN thing.
Okay, I watch. Yeah, that's a good documentary. But here's the thing. Here's the difference, though. Most of those athletes that go, like, okay, let's take an example. Let's look at Michael Jackson. Well, you could say because of lawsuits. Let's look at Mike Tyson. Guy won $500 million in fights. $500 million. More money than any of us would ever see in our lives if we lived 100 lives. Like ridiculous money. And he ended up being bankrupt. How does that happen? It's a very good
imagine
question.
Expensive spending, gambling, or ways to throw money down.
Yeah, it comes down to you making $1 million bets and buying way too much, spending a ton of money on women. Here's the thing, though, okay? Most of these sport athletes that go broke, they might make $10 million in their entire career. You're talking about someone who's worth billions, okay? That is... let's keep in mind here what a billion is. A billion is 1,000 millions. 1,000 millions. A house for 70 million, that's like, let's say, Anthony, that's like you spending $7 to buy yourself this huge mansion. $7. You could buy it all cash, never have to worry about it again. Yes, you have property taxes, but you spend $7 and you got a mansion. Like, that's what money is to him. Like, it's ridiculous.
Okay, well, I don't know what he's gonna do for income now, but
he doesn't have to do anything. If you
give
me,
like I said, this is just kind of like one of those. Okay, you're spending $70 million on a house. What are you gonna do next? Buy Bugattis? Because this is just my mentality when it comes to purchasing things. Oh, it's just a $10 game. I'll buy 10, and I'm gonna buy another $10, another $10. Oh, it's cheap. I'll buy another. Just ask Steam sales, like. It's like, oh, it's so cheap to me. But then you just keep buying and buying and buying, and it's going to add... Look, it's $1 billion, but it's not unlimited. It's not $1 trillion. It's not unlimited. Like, that's... Obviously, I'm not giving... Obviously, I'm just... He could do whatever he wants with his money. That's fine. But, I'm just saying, from my view, yes, freaking it's like $7. But that $7 times 10 is... $70, and then it could become $140, or it could become $300. And yeah, I know $1 billion, like freaking, there isn't much ways to lose that much money, but you never know. Invest in stocks that go bad, gambling, whatever. Yeah. But again, it's up to him. Obviously, I didn't create Minecraft and I don't have the genius capacity to make Minecraft.
Well,
And
that's
I
another
get
thing. We're talking
that.
about a guy who's obviously intelligent.
Well, here's the
So
thing. Some intelligent people are. It obviously depends. They're intelligent in one area, maybe not intelligent in others. And now I'm not saying Notch is not intelligent. I'm not saying that. I'm just like saying that. I don't know. It's like just because you have $1 billion doesn't mean that you can treat all of your purchases like they're just pennies. Because that's kind of how you go broke, actually. And yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah, it's just like, wow, Notch. He's freaking outdone Shigeru Miyamoto, like all these famous developer names, and freaking bought himself a $70 million mansion. Like it's already pretty crazy that Cliff Beninsky drives a Lamborghini Gallardo. And
yeah,
then
Cliffy
there's
B. I think Cliffy B. Last time I checked, he's worth like 20 million.
yeah, and that's a huge amount for any game industry person. And I don't know, it's just like, yeah, freaking, you got yourself a mansion. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but moving along. So what
But
do you?
yeah, the HoloLens, yes.
Yeah, what do you
Gaming
think of?
applications of HoloLens. Minecraft, well, that's a bit mixed, and I'll get to, and this is why I feel like it is a bit mixed. So, obviously, for you to turn your living room into a Minecraft playground, that's kind of cool. That's like Legos, because Minecraft's always had the Lego analogy, and, well, now your room is Legos. Here's the problem. Haptic feedback. And what haptic feedback is that, for example, when you push a button, your sense of touch tells you that you are applying pressure to the button's pushing back against your finger, and you know for sure you push the button. This is the problem with a lot of touchscreen keyboards that I've experienced, especially on some Android phones. When you touch something on the screen, you're just touching glass. You don't know for sure if that's the J key or the L key. I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally pressed the B key instead of the spacebar. Now, I don't know about iOS. iOS actually has a better keyboard. I freaking have a 5-year-old iPod Touch, and keyboard's still pretty good. But again, the same problem applies. Haptic feedback. Because when you touch something, you're just touching plastic and or a screen. You don't know if you know that's the exact button. Whereas with a keyboard, there's obviously some feel that you have. So you know for sure, this is why I type so well on a real keyboard. It's because I know where all the keys are. I just lay my hands where they are, and then bam, I hit every key exactly how I want to. And when I play with a controller, when I play with, an Xbox controller, or Wii U Pro controller, or PlayStation controller, I've got analog sticks that have feedback to them, so I know how much pressure I'm applying to them, and I know which exact button to push, and I know where the button are every single time. When you have this augmented reality thing, unless you have like some gloves that can apply pressures to your hand, you're not going to know about this haptic feedback. I mean, like, yes, you can grab stuff out of air and then place them out of air, but what happens? But how do you know for sure? It's gonna have to like magnet. It's supposed to have this magnet effect so it doesn't look weird or off, and you gotta make sure you grab the right item, and you always have to have visual confirmation that you push the right item. It's like how you always have to have visual confirmation that you push the right key. So Minecraft on augmented reality, I don't know. I just kind of feel like as a visualization thing, to like kind of like, oh man, I could watch, the Bears on any wall in my house with this thing. That's pretty awesome, because then you don't have to buy an extra TV. That's nice. You just use Wi-Fi with your headset, and bam, your TV. You just look at the wall, and there's your game. Awesome. Can I type with the headset?
You can watch it from the point of view of the refs.
You can watch it and see how much it sucks to call plays. You can watch it. You can watch it outside. You can watch it anywhere. I mean, it's like, oh crap, I have a stomach problem, gotta run to the bathroom. You can just look forward and see it on your bathroom wall while watching the sports game. That stuff is just awesome. It's like, oh man, I do not want to miss this TGA live stream. Bam, I could just take it wherever I go. It's nice. That's kind of cool.
You can sit in the live stream with us.
You can sit yeah, just wherever I go. It's kind of awesome. As a visualization thing, awesome. Like in that demo, they said they give you a 3D model of a bike that they were working on. So freaking, can you imagine what that's like for the game designers? You don't just look at your character through some computer screen. How about you see the actual 3D model of your character and just easily just look around? That's cool. What else? So as a visualization thing, that's pretty awesome. As something to interact with, it's like I can build my AutoCAD model and have this 3D printed, and 3D printing is like on the rage these days. It's like you can build fast prototypes cheaply with them. It's cool. But yeah, see, you can build a helicopter with 3D printing, and I just kind of sit here and I'm like, Again, haptic feedback problem. Yeah, I just feel like you are slower just grasping at air and hope that you grab the right item and then just moving it over, because you just don't have that feel there. Which, so there's that.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying for sure.
Yeah. See what else? Yeah, visualization. Cool. I feel like that's the problem with Kinect also. Like, this is the similar problem with Kinect. So you know how you Kinect, you can obviously use your hands to navigate the screen. So when you do gestures like a swipe and that kind of stuff, and you just wave your hand in there, that's fine. But if you use your hand to select a button, you notice how it's so much slower and how you have to like have flat out visual confirmation that the cursor is hovering over the right button before you can press a button. Whereas with, a button, you just say, hey, bam, done, go. Right. Intuitive, easy. Because, and that's the other concern I have about this tech too, is that researchers usually work under very ideal conditions, test conditions. Just because it works there doesn't mean it actually works in the real world. Because the real world has so many variables that the lab can just not do. Like in the real world, because in the real world, people are lazier. It's just like, okay, I just want to change this channel. Okay, well, can I just simply wave my hand around like this in some slightly half-lazy gesture, and will it do it correctly? Probably not. So that's a concern. It seems a little ideal. It could work, but in very specific situations, I feel. I mean, it's cool. Like, again, as something to watch, that's great. I mean, like, this is the kind of stuff that it's like the step above Google Glasses, and that's cool and all. Other concerns I have for society. I'm a little concerned for society. Why? Because people are going to be so distracted using this augmented reality headset that they're going to walk into a lot of things. I mean,
yeah, they're gonna be like one of their friends invites them over. No, I don't want to go to your house. Let's just hop on our Holograms and pretend we're together.
Oh, that is gonna suck. Like, that is gonna suck. Local I mean, I guess it's slightly better than online multiplayer, but he's not. Again, feedback. You don't feel your friend right next to you on the couch. It's just air. But you see him, but you don't. You can just put your hand there and you can't feel your friend there. Like, that's a worry. Oh, and like, freaking, as far as distractions, that's what I'm concerned about for society. We're talking about a society where a man was busy texting on his phone and fell into a manhole. Because he didn't pay attention to all these blatant signs that said, warning, manhole, orange cones to mark the manhole. And he was busy texting, didn't see, and he fell into one. That's the society we live in, and this is the same problem with Google Glasses. Okay, I mean, and like Google Glasses, what's actually? I mean, if you have an LTE connection on those Google Glasses through some means like your phone or something like that, what's going to stop you from using it to watch TV or something while you're driving?
Oh,
I mean, Google Glasses can detect that if you're going faster than 10 miles an hour, it disables itself, except for very specific things like GPS. And law enforcement will pull you over if you try and use those things while driving, because it counts the same as a phone, and it's very dangerous, obviously, for obvious reasons. But that's the society we live in. Like, Google Glasses wants you to like use this in your office environment, your work environment, or when you're on the jog or something like that. But people are just gonna end up using it to try and watch TV when they're driving or something like that. And that's kind of how I feel about the everything Microsoft has too. It's just gonna be like you're gonna be so focused staring at this holographic of Halo Chief staying in your bedroom. Next thing you know, you walk into a table and knock over this really expensive vase that you just bought and just comes crashing onto the floor. Yeah, I mean, freaking, that will happen. Or you can just have Cortana greet you in your room and you say hi, and then you just walk into the wall and yeah, well, yeah, stuff like that. See, here's the thing: like the scientists kind of think that the world is smarter than it actually is. That's kind of like the sad thing. It's just kind of like when you're in the university environment. Like at universities, people don't actually seem that stupid, but when you get into the real world, oh dear, it kind of hurts. Oh. Also, another thing that I noticed: the size of that headset. Even in that video. Pretty bulky. I mean, I'm pretty sure they could I'm pretty sure they're gonna use like maybe some advanced materials to make it really light and all, but that's a really big thing that you're putting over your head.
I agree.
So, there's that. But like I said, potential really awesome as a visualization tool. Wow, it's gonna be so cool. I mean, yeah, you could just like see so many things. It's like one of those things where, like for example, I'm just like, man, these football players. I wonder, Cortana, can you load me a hologram of how tall, say, Ben Roethlisberger is? And then I just look at hologram of Ben Roethlisberger, I was like, oh crap, wow, this guy's gonna destroy me.
Yeah.
Or maybe you could say, Cortana, load me a holographic of what it's like to be tackled by, what's a good defensive lineman? Jared Allen. Then Jared Allen's coming straight at you, you're like, oh shit. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. I mean, that's the kind of fun you can have. It's gonna be sweet. It'd just be like, and again, obviously, going back to that visualization fantasies joke, you could just say. I'm pretty sure fans of Mass Effect are gonna say, "Can you load Liara Tassoni and Miranda on my couch?" Yeah.
Can you place a Victoria's Secret model across from me right now?
Yeah, well, people can go ahead and do that.
I would like a bikini model sitting right next to me right now.
Oh man, as if you didn't have enough reasons to just lock yourself indoors. Because once you see them in your living room couch, there's just no point in letting reality live up to your expectations anymore. Oh boy. So it's just man. But I know this tech is going to be really expensive for sure. It's obviously very new, it's holographic, but it's not truly. It's a lot of augmented reality kind of stuff, and we've kind of seen that stuff before. Like true holograms would like make images without you having to wear any fancy glasses whatsoever. But this is biggest problems I see: haptic feedback, bulkiness of the thing, cost, and functioning in the real world. That's kind of like a lot of that applies to a lot of new tech, especially with VR and whatever. But kind of cool. Seems like currently a very research specific thing, because this seems like a very top secret university researchers. Yeah, this definitely looks like a top secret. Definitely looks like a researcher type of project. Because Google Glasses has been I don't know. It's like I think they've been giving out Google Glasses for a while now to specific participants or something.
Yeah, they actually stopped selling it. They're done with Google Glass.
Oh wow, that's surprising.
Yeah.
But HoloLens, very cool eye candy thing. Lots of potential. Is it gonna work in the real world? That's a completely different story. That's a very different story. Like even today, Kinect, do I still see Kinect staying around? Kinect was touted as this thing that could detect your body, do all these things, and the only useful feature I have seen out of Kinect is, it follows your body when you're using Skype or streaming. You have voice commands, which I could do with a microphone. Dance games, like Kinect has a lot of potential. As a person who has personally made a couple projects with Kinect is awesome. The tech in that thing is amazing. It's amazing that this thing can do so many things. Kinect, like the original Kinect, not the 2.0. 2.0 is even better. It has 1080p cameras, but even with its SD cameras, SD resolution is what you're mostly working with. You can do higher, but it would just make things weird. But you're working with SD resolution, you can still do a lot. You can still detect gestures. You can like freaking control PowerPoint presentations. Like lots of ideas. Amazing, great. Real world applications. Oh, that's a lot harder. It's like, is it more than just a microphone? Is it more than just a camera that points at you when you stream? Because that's not exactly a long list of selling points. And considering that they dumped the Kinect and sold a lot more Xbox Ones at a $350 price and even lower, yeah, just Kinect is the success of.
Well, yeah, to
Kinect
get
is
an Xbox One with the Kinect, you're paying $500.
Yeah. And so basically, like, Kinect, so cool. And yes, Kinect sold better than the iPhone 4. Like, the launch of the Kinect had higher sales numbers than the iPhone 4, I think. That's huge.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. More people bought it than I thought. But is it something that's here to stay?
Well, it's just like the PlayStation Move. People think like the PlayStation Move wasn't successful. PlayStation Move sold tons. I think they ended up selling like 18 million units or something crazy like that.
Which is still a pretty good number considering that it was a response to the Wiimote. And like a lot of the games supported
and the fact
it.
that there was like no games for it. Well, I mean there was games for it, but just there wasn't that hit killer app for it.
There wasn't a Wii Sports for it. I mean there was like Sports Champions, I think, but there wasn't like a Wii Sports hit on it. Is how I understood it. So, yeah, it's just HoloLens. I just don't know. It looks cool. It has a lot of potential, but can it stay? Even if they did everything right, will it stay? I don't know.
Right, and the thing is that a lot of people, because one thing they hear obviously from Microsoft's own people, of course they're all going to praise it, but there's various people from various companies that have come out and they've said how amazing it was. And they actually had, after the thing, if you were there, you actually got to test it yourself, and people are raving about it.
Well, again, this is new tech that hasn't been seen before. But again, the real world. Can you use this in the real world? Like again, that like it's not just it's gonna glitch up a little bit. No, it's literally stuff like a guy walking into a manhole while on his phone the whole time, or the person who gets a little carried away staring at the hologram of Cortana as he walks by and then knocks over the pot of hot food and then burns his foot, or something like that. I mean, yeah, and Google Glasses has been discontinued. I did not know that.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just kind of like a skeptic in general because I'm kind of like a person who's all for real world applications. Is it practical? Is it inexpensive? Is it easy to use? Does it blend seamlessly into my life, or is it just some bulky peripheral that just feels like a chore? That part is usually the hard part because it's really cool to have an idea. It's one thing and it's a huge accomplishment when you get it to work. It's another story to make it work in a normal world. Because if this stuff catches on and sticks really hard, I don't think anybody's going to look at life the same ever when everything is augmented. I mean, think about it. You just take the thing off and it's like, I'm not seeing Ben Roethlisberger. It's just like, I'm not getting my constant 24 axis of NFL on every wall I look at. Somebody help me. It's like if you took people's phone, it's like
there's gonna end up being freaking like VR rehab.
I mean,
like,
I'm not joking. We live in a world where cell phone rehab could be a thing. I mean, seriously, Ken, like I am not joking. It's like we live in a world where if your cell phone service died and your cell phone battery died and you had no cell phone whatsoever, can you survive one day, assuming that your work is not related to your cell phone? I'm pretty sure a lot of people wouldn't be able to make it.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
But yeah. Anyways,
notice that whenever someone either breaks their phone or loses their phone, they usually get it replaced within 24 hours.
Oh yeah,
They'll
at
do
some
they'll do
really high cost. Yes.
they'll do whatever it takes.
I mean, I also kind of remember back in the day when I just kind of thought, like, but what if my car breaks down? I'm like, I don't know, what did people do in the '80s when their car broke down?
Yeah.
I mean, someone
Like
sure.
it's like what did they do back in the 80s when the internet didn't well, it existed, but it was for military use.
When the internet didn't exist, well, you had, believe it or not, libraries and going out with friends and movies and buying CDs and vinyls from the record shop. Yes, you did that in the I mean, I don't know anything about the '80s. I wasn't even alive at that time. But if I were to take a guess, yeah, you actually had to leave your house to properly have fun and watch TV. TV too. Like TV is one of those things that didn't change really.
Yeah, if you wanted something, you had to go to the store and buy it. You couldn't just order it online and have it delivered to you in a few days.
Yeah, that's
Or let
basically
alone have
it.
it
Yeah,
delivered to you the next day.
man, that's
Or
something
in
that
some
definitely.
places, have it delivered to you the same day.
Man, that's something that's definitely.
Parts of LA, you can order stuff from Amazon in the morning and get it by the afternoon.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
That's
freaking
really
online,
big for like groceries
online,
and stuff.
online ordering has definitely changed the way people have lived. I mean, I'm not joking. It's like if I can't find something at my store, I just go online.
Too.
Oh
Look how
yeah,
many big retailers have went out of business since online became a thing.
anybody remember
Look at
Shopgo?
Yeah,
That was a thing in the late '90s.
Look at Blockbuster. Look how the internet affected them.
Oh yeah, just imagine the mom and pop shop, how they feel.
Yeah.
That's kind of brutal, but freaking like, but still, like online shopping, it's like I can't find it in the store, but I can have it shipped to me from online.
Within a minute. Yeah, and the thing is, with competition, within a minute, you can see everyone's prices on everything.
Oh yeah.
So,
and it's not that hard either. I'd be freaking Yakuza 4. Can I find Yakuza 4 at Walmart, Best Buy, Target, or GameStop or EB Games or whatever? Usually no, but I can order a fresh new copy for $17 online. Wow. But yeah, that's a huge impact. But is HoloLens gonna have that impact? I don't know, because this is just my opinion. Sometimes research nets wonderful things. The internet kind of happened because of, research. And research is great, but research also tends to come up with projects that may or may not have practical real-life applications for the general masses. I mean, like, VR is like a big thing, but to see VR, you kind of have to attach something to your head to use it. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, and it's not like it's going to happen anytime soon where you can just put a VR lens on the inside of your eye. That day hasn't come yet. So
yeah, VR contacts.
Freaking imagine everyone having that. The world would just, oh man, that's just kind of scary at the same time. But that's in the far, far future. HoloLens? I think it's just something that I want to say that I want to try it before I can really judge it.
Oh, I definitely want to try it.
Because it sounds a little too ideal. I mean, like virtual reality. Like, how do I feel about virtual reality? Well, it's kind of cool, but you're not feeling any G-forces. And if you're playing Infamous, you're gonna throw up. Don't look down. Yeah, that basically. So, right, HoloLens.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. But it's just one of those things that, don't get me wrong, I can't wait to get my hands on it. I really.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those curiosities that you just want to try.
Right. I definitely want to check it out. So we'll wait and see what happens. But pretty cool announcement nevertheless. Continuing on, so that pretty much wrapped up Microsoft's event. A new job posting posted by Microsoft for a senior program manager to, quote, work with one of the most popular video games of all time. What game could this be? I think the obvious one here, because there's mentions of creating and all this stuff. I think the obvious choice here is the next Minecraft. There's been many Minecraft hints thrown out. They showed Minecraft during the HoloLens debut. I think the next Minecraft is under development. It's owned by Microsoft now, but Microsoft did come out and say that they will be releasing it not only on Microsoft's platforms, which makes sense because you may say, well, that's a huge selling factor. Well, it depends how you look at it. They're still going to be on PC, and Minecraft pretty much got big on PC. Yes, it pretty much hit every other place. It's on freaking on the Vita. Like freaking Minecraft is on the Vita. But anyways, it's pretty much every platform now. But the thing is, I don't. If someone really wants to play Minecraft, it's not very graphic intensive. They can just play it on their PC if they want to. But also because Microsoft would be stupid, like. Because of the fact that, yeah, they own it, well, that means they make the profit, too. So that means them selling on the PlayStation 4 means that they make money off every copy sold on an opposing platform. It'd be stupid for them to not release it on the PlayStation 4. They might make it a timed exclusive or something, but eventually it's going to come out. So, yeah. Not a big fan of Minecraft. Never really got it. It just never grabbed me. How about you, Anthony?
It's owned by Microsoft. I don't know. Minecraft is a huge popular thing. Kids buy entire systems just to play Pokemon. Pokemon could be more successful had it come to the PS4, the Xbox One, PC, iOS for sure. They would make lots of money at it. But do they? No. Because Nintendo still makes a lot of money just because... Oh yeah, we may not have sold as many copies, but at least people are buying our portables because of it. I don't know. They might release. Will they release on the PlayStation? Ooh, putting out that game. You own Minecraft. You can have a big boost with the Xbox One, but you're also going to put it on your competitor system. Well, and this isn't like with iTunes where, you know. I really don't know. Like I just kind of feel like Minecraft 2 is coming to Xbox One. It will come first to Xbox One, and all the kids have to have Minecraft. It's like the big thing for younger audiences. And, you know, what a better way than to just say, hey, Halo, pop culture. Minecraft, pop culture. Boom.
I mean, I could definitely see them doing a Minecraft bundle for sure.
Oh,
I can definitely already see that.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. But
yeah, we don't know what
of all time. That is obviously a very vague way of putting it.
Yeah.
Because Halo had one of the most successful midnight launches for a long time.
Yeah, but everyone knows Halo is being worked on. But just a quick note: Phil Spencer during the Microsoft Windows 10 event, he was wearing a Battletoads T-shirt. Could that be a hit? Who knows? But
boy,
he wore a Battletoads shirt. But that's not one of the biggest franchises of all time, so I wouldn't say that's directly related to this. But just a quick note: he wore a Battletoads shirt to the event, so maybe we'll see an announcement at E3. Who knows? Oh crap! I forgot one big announcement from that event. Xbox One, Windows 10. When Windows 10 comes out, you will be able to stream your Xbox One to any Windows 10 platform. So, let's say, for example, you're in the living room and it's a family television, but you want to play Forza, but your parents are watching some on TV. You can stream it to your computer and then play the game on your computer monitor. Pretty cool. Phil Spencer showed this with Forza Horizon 2, actually, and it looked quite impressive. I personally think it'd be a bigger deal if it was the opposite, meaning streaming your PC to your Xbox One, because of the fact that you usually have your console hooked up to a larger television, whereas PCs are sometimes hooked up to monitors. So I think that would have been a bigger deal. I think that's cool. Anthony, do you see yourself, once you get an Xbox One, do you see that ever being something you would use?
It depends on a few things. Like, first off, resolution. Can I stream to my Windows 10 system in 1080p? If so, cool. Yeah, I could see that as a feature, but because maybe sometimes you just don't want to play your Xbox One, which is connected to your TV, and you just want to sit at your desk and play it. Like, there's certain appeal of playing at your desk. For example, you're sitting in your comfy desk chair, and you're in your room. and you can quietly game in your room instead of having to walk all the way downstairs, hit on the couch, turn on the TV, turn on the lights, and play on this big screen and bothering other people. I think, yeah, I could see using that. Or if you're a person like me who has a desk that is completely cluttered with a gazillion wires, I could sort of plug my Xbox One in a different spot in my room and have it stream to my PC on the other side of the room. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to ever do that, but hey, that's one way I could play my Xbox.
Yeah,
or play my Forza box, I should say.
Yeah, you'll also be able to stream it to tablets running Windows 10. So if you want to play Halo 5 on your Surface Pro, you can.
That can be a little portable, yeah.
That's it's pretty much like their answer to Sony's Remote Play, kinda, but a little bit different.
That's like Microsoft's response to Nintendo's "I can game on my gamepad away," which Sony responded with, "Oh well, we can do it with our Vita, and you can use your Vita outside the house." And then there's like Microsoft saying, "Oh well, we can do it to computers and your tablets outside the house."
Right.
Assuming, of course, you have a fast enough data connection. But yeah, It seems like a nice moderate thing. Because it's kind of like a cool thing to have. Like, for example, the closest thing I've got to, quote, remote streaming is basically the Wii U gamepad. It's kind of nice for me to be able to play games on it, on that screen at night in my bed instead of having to sit at my desk or having to use the TV. So that's kind of cool. Device to device in household streaming, to me that has never been like the biggest deal. Like, for example, one of the things that Stream does is that, for example, if my laptop is on a different side of the room but I'm connected to Wi-Fi and my PC has Steam open at the same time, I could say, yes, I would like to play this game, but I want to use my desktop PC to use my desktop PC for the game and then just stream the image to my laptop. You can do that, which is kind of cool, actually. But to me, it hasn't been really a big deal. Not really. Streaming to PC. Yeah, I guess if I don't feel like using my Xbox with the TV. But other than that,
I think like I said, I think it would be cooler if there was a way that you could stream your, and maybe they will do it, but stream your games. Say you're playing a PC game on your Windows 10 machine, you'd stream it to your television.
I mean, that would be cool. That would be cool because then you don't have to drag your whole computer down to your TV and having to set up your controller with your PC. Oh, well, you probably still need to do that. But still, it's kind of cool because my computer, my computer can just sit all the way in my bedroom and then just play games on Xbox One. But I imagine that direction won't work because what games are you going to be allowed to? Are you going to allow Stream to do that on your Xbox One? Steam? Like, is it just like a straight up video capture of your desktop, or is it?
Well, it would have to be pretty much what they showed is that it's pretty much this new Xbox platform on Windows 10. So obviously it would have to be just a game. It's not like you could stream anything. It would just be you're playing a game. It's all through Xbox, so you can stream it. Like, I think they could do it, and I think they will do it, actually.
I mean, freaking, like, Steam is already kind of doing it. If you have, like, a mini PC that's hooked up to your TV downstairs, and you have Steam installed, and again, you just tell Steam, big picture or TV or whatever they have on there, yes, I would like to launch this game, but use my gaming PC in my bedroom to launch this game. Boom. There you go. And I think you get a 1080p image too, depending on how good your Wi-Fi is.
Right, neither affects me because I have my PC and my Xbox One connected to the same television. But I mean, I can see maybe some people using it. Cool concept doesn't hurt.
But again, it's not the biggest feature in my for me. It's not like I know anybody who's like, oh yeah, like I don't have my own TV, or oh man, I'm always booted off my TV and I need to remote stream to my Vita. I don't hear that very often.
Right. All right. Well, let's get into some PlayStation news.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, almost an hour and a half on Microsoft. That's rare.
Yeah. So we could be in for a PlayStation 4 Slim very, very, well, not very, very soon, but in the sometime near future. Samsung has began mass producing their 8 gigabit, 1 gigabyte DDR5 RAM memory chips. Now you may say, well, the PlayStation 4 has GDDR4. So how can they implement 5? Why would they? Because that causes a little bit of change in the hardware of the console. Well, here, let me mention a few things. So first of all, these are 1 gigabyte versus in the PlayStation 4, they have 16 512 memory sticks currently. So if they go this route, they would have 8 chips instead of 16, which would reduce size, which could reduce costs. And these companies are always doing what they can to reduce costs. When these companies come out with slim consoles, it's usually because they're cheaper to make. So that's the first thing. But the big thing is that Samsung's executive vice president said that these chips are the best solution available for game consoles. So he didn't confirm, but it makes you speculate, could Sony be working with Samsung on these memory chips? Why wouldn't it be for the Xbox One? Well, the Xbox One's using, I think, GDR3 versus 4, and they didn't use Samsung for their memory in the Xbox One, whereas Sony did with the PlayStation 4.
Oh.
So, I don't know. What do you think, Anthony?
PS4 Slim? No, I don't think a PS4 Slim is going to happen. For one thing, it's going to piss people like me off because I bought a Destiny bundle, and I'm just kind of still a little butthurt the fact that I bought a Destiny bundle, even though the white PS4 is awesome. But the thing is that the PS4 isn't that big. It's not PlayStation 3 original big or heavy.
Well, it's not that it's big. It's the cost, though. If they can get the cost down, and the fact that whenever a company comes out with a remodeled console, their sales go up because people like to have the newer model.
I know, but I kind of feel like, Slim? No. A motherboard revision? Yes. I can totally see a motherboard revision. So, basically, just keep the same outside, but on the inside, things are different. Like, the PS3 Slim, the original Slim, probably went through, like, maybe 3 or 4 motherboard revisions before they came out with the Super Slim. And yeah, like, they could change the insides, for sure. Because when I look at the PS4, I mean, having a smaller system is great. I mean, that's fine and all, but it could just be a quick motherboard revision because freaking to do a Slim, you're going to have to redesign a lot of things. Redesign the cooling, redesign the motherboard, the shape of the motherboard, redesign various other bits, the power supply. Like, there's quite a fair amount of redesigning, so like a quick fix would be, okay, we're just going to revise the motherboard to use fewer memory chips. And hey, you just saved a little bit of power, you just got maybe a little less heat, actually, which is nice because my room is not that warm right now. My PS4 is running kind of loud. But yeah, a Slim, maybe not. I don't think it's going to happen this year. The PS4 is only barely over a year old.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it would have came out this year.
Hell yeah.
I think it would be something that would come out like 2016.
Yeah, like the PlayStation kind of needs to be at least 2 years old before I feel a Slim is needed. Because, you know, and what they did with the PS3 original Slim when they revised the motherboards, as far as I know, they basically revised it to use less electricity. So that probably meant shrinking the, what I mean by shrink, I mean like shrink the transistors on the CPU and GPU. They went from like 90 to 65 during the run of the original Slim. And nobody knew this because on the outside they looked exactly the same. But if you pop the inside, you probably notice some slightly different wiring. Slightly different wiring, a different power supply. They made these revisions to use less power and all. Oh man, I'm just looping myself. Yeah, and this just kind of happened without anybody noticing. The only thing that you noticed was checking the back and realizing that you probably had a 2000 model, a 2500 model, or a 3000 model. That's how you found out what type of revision you got. But it's the same on the outside. So I feel like that's what they could happen. They could literally put in a minor inside revision with a 1 terabyte hard drive at the end of the year. Totally possible. And it will use less electricity than it does now.
I definitely think we'll see a Sony bundle with a terabyte hard drive this year.
Oh, yeah.
Because the thing is, I have a terabyte in mine. And I've got, I think, like 150 gigabytes free. So, and I don't download many games here. Now, to keep fair, I don't delete any either. Those games I've installed on my PlayStation 4 that I'll never play again, and I just haven't had a reason to delete them, to be fair. But 500 gigabytes, I think it was a decent sized hard drive to launch the console with. Same with the Xbox One. But it's time that they put a terabyte in there because they're really pushing these digital games, and some of these digital games are racking up 60 gigabytes a piece. And that's not just the games you download, even the disc games they install, like Grand Theft Auto 5, for example, installed almost 60 gigabytes worth of data.
Oh man, these installs are just huge.
So 500 gigabytes sounds like a lot, but it fills up super fast. Like I said, I would have filled up my 500 gigabytes.
And then I think they were like
less than a year.
And then they were like, I think games. I don't know if this is correct, so someone correct me if I'm wrong. But the Master Chief Collection, you had to download extra stuff because not everything could fit in the disc, or something like that. So, someone correct me if I'm wrong for that. But yeah, game installs,
especially when they come out. Imagine what Gran Turismo 6. Imagine how much space that's going to take up.
7. 6 is on PS3.
Oh, 7. That's what I meant. Yes.
And you know what the developer said? Oh, hey, the PS4 is easier to program for. So I'm like, thank you. Now please tell me that you're not going to take too long doing this, and that you can priority stream.
I'm willing to go on a limb that Gran Turismo 7, when it comes out, between the install and everything, it's probably going to be about 80, 90 gigabytes.
Maybe 100, because they continue working on that game once they're done, they add more to it. Whether it's DLC, whether it is new features. Freaking, like, just look at Gran Turismo 5 and 6. They do stuff after it's released. But yeah, it's like a terabyte hard drive. Here's what I think. Personally, games are getting so big. And here's the sad part. They don't use desktop drives. A computer desktop drive, you can get 4 terabytes easily. It'll cost you like maybe $200 for a 4 terabyte drive, but for a desktop you can have a 4 terabyte drive, and man, that's a lot of space for your games. PS4 and Xbox Ones, they use laptop drives because they're smaller, they're quieter, they use less energy, and they're not as fast, but that's fine. But the problem with a laptop drive is that they don't have as much storage capacity. Like 2 terabytes is new for laptop drives, actually. Like mainstream laptops, not like those enterprise ones. A regular one, 2 terabytes is new. Like 1 terabyte was like the biggest practical thing you could buy for your PS4 when it came out. And man, I already used up an eighth of it. And I didn't really buy that much for my PS4 this year. I just bought Shadows of Mordor, I got Drive Club, I got Dragon Age Inquisition, and I downloaded some PlayStation Plus games. Got Injustice. Finish Injustice. That's a 20 gig install for a game that was also on the PS3 and 360. And I already ate up an eighth of my hard drive. What is Metal Gear 5 going to do for it? What is Grand Theft Auto 6 going to do to it? What is Gran Turismo and God of War 4 and Uncharted 4? And what are all those games going to do to that poor terabyte solid state hybrid drive that I have in there? Yes, you can delete games. And I'm gonna have to let me check the system menu to see if you can delete just the install, not the updates. But it's like, oh, well, you can install later. Installs are very fast. That's true. But do I want to go through that hassle?
Install is fast depending on what game. Grand Theft Auto 5 takes forever. It takes probably about a good hour to install.
Really?
Here's the thing. Well, here's the thing with these games. People think they're installing fast, but realistically, like, yes, they're installing fast, but what they don't realize is the game's still installing while you're playing.
Yeah, they just put in essentials. Because I just look at it as like, there's no way 20 gigabytes can copy off a Blu-ray drive. that fast. I know that for sure. I mean, but they installed the essentials, and I understand they can get the game going quickly, but again, it depends from developer to developer.
Right.
And
So let's say, for example, you had to like replace your PlayStation 4 or whatever. Let's say you had, let's say let's say a story game, and you put your game saves in and everything. And I know this because I had a friend who did this. If you play it from the beginning, you'll be fine. I think it's the fastest install ever, simply because of the fact that it's installing in the background, and you never know because you're playing. What it does, it installs maybe an hour of the game, and while you're playing, it installs the other parts of the game because it's very straightforward. It's a storyline game, so they know what you're gonna have access to and what you're not gonna have access to. Well, the problem is if you have, let's say, a game save and you need to install the game again, and you try to continue from that game save, it's not going to let you. At that point, it's going to have to install the entire game, and that's when you'll see that. It takes a long time. Like I said, when I got Grand Theft Auto 5, I waited probably about an hour after the initial install for it to allow me to get into the game. And it was because it's like 60 gigabytes of data.
yeah, that's
So
huge.
it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the download. Like you might buy like a 20 gigabyte game, and you find out, oh, I'm only having to download 3 gigabytes. Well, once again, it's because you're downloading a very small section of the game, and then while you're playing, it's going to be downloading and installing in the background.
Yeah.
So,
Like, I'm concerned about
tricks that they do.
capacity. Like, I'm concerned about capacity. Like, it's just like, oh, you can delete your games. Yeah, well, do I really want to wait for the install? I mean, granted, like, yeah, I'm gonna delete games off that I will never, ever, ever play or touch ever again. And that probably includes some PlayStation Plus titles, but that's like still cleaning the fridge in a way, I guess. I mean, there's just something nice about having a lot of capacity. Just because it's just like, oh man, that extra space.
It's not having to worry about that storage maintenance.
Yeah, cleaning out the fridge is what they said. Is what it's like. I think it's like some website said it was like cleaning up the fridge with the Wii, because the Wii only had like 512 megabytes of internal storage. So every time you bought stuff off the eShop, you had to clean it out constantly. Like that concern. And like I said, I would kind of like to not have to worry about having to install Metal. You remember what they did on the PS3 with Metal Gear, right? This is back when you had like maybe 40 gigabyte hard drive PS3s. And what did they do? Each time you changed major sections, they had to install a new section. And, obviously in the future, they put out a patch that said you can install the whole game without having to do that. But in the old days, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5...
I remember that.
Is each its own install time. So, because it can
Remember
only
when
take 5
Microsoft
gigabytes.
thought it was a smart idea to have it 360 without a hard drive?
Well, at the time, yeah, like I think Bronson had a very good point when he said it was a system that was very much built for the 2000s. It was very much built for 2005, because in 2005 you still had the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox One, PS2 and GameCube. They all had memory sticks.
Because I remember they came out with that and it was like $200.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they caused so many issues with developers because now they don't know everyone has a hard drive, so they have to make sure their games somehow work if someone does not have a hard drive.
Yeah, well, in that day it wasn't
stupid.
Yeah, well, in that day, well, you only had a save file and that's it. You don't have to worry about DLC that much back then. But that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, the core system was just almost useless. Remember memory units? Man, seriously, it took them a long time to actually realize that flash drives were a thing that you could use.
Remember memory cards on the PlayStation 2? Like 8 megabytes?
Oh yeah, freaking holy crap. Like, yeah, like you just look at that stuff and you're just like, look at how far flash memory has come. Nowadays, you can just buy 64 gigabyte SD cards for like $30 or $40 or something like that. Oh my goodness, flash memory has exploded. It's great. Yeah,
well, when the PlayStation 3 came out, wasn't even 10 years ago, they launched with a 20 gigabyte PlayStation 3. 20 gigabytes.
Yeah, to help you save money. because $599 was painful. That was the 60 gig, I think, right?
Yeah, the 60 gig was $5.99. The 20 gig was $4.99. I got mine day one, and I got the 60 gigabyte, obviously.
Yep.
And I think the other difference was I don't think the 20 gigabyte one had Wi-Fi in it. I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I had Wi-Fi either. So, yeah, PS3. You can buy the stripped out
20 gigabyte hard drive. That's so funny.
Oh man, like freaking, and it was a slow hard drive too. Can you imagine Last of Us trying to run on that thing? I mean, it has to, right? It's a PlayStation 3. Freaking, like, I look at this. It's like a stripped out luxury car when I look at a PlayStation 3. You don't get Wi-Fi, but you get PS2 backwards compatibility. It's a little funny. Oh, and did they have flash memory readers? I don't know. I need to look at that. Something. But yeah, 20 gigabytes.
Yeah, and then I think they got to the point where they had PlayStation 3s they have with 500 gigabytes now, right?
Yeah, it's 500, I think.
Yeah, I know they did 320, and then I think they did 500.
Yeah, my system came with a 160 originally, and that filled up, even though I didn't have many downloadable games. So I swapped out for a 500. Here's the problem with swapping out for a 500. So obviously the PS3 has a backup feature. What it does is that it literally backs up everything, including your game installs. So in order to fit everything into a flash drive without having to erase everything onto my portable drive, I had to delete every game install and then transfer and back up my save. So
they changed that with the PlayStation 4.
Cool, that's good. Oh yeah, and cloud is awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't have PlayStation Plus, so I couldn't do that on the PS3 at the time. But I took out the 160, put in a 500 gigabyte 7200 hard drive. It helps load Gran Turismo 5 like 20% faster or something. And I remembered I put saves in. Of course, I had to reinstall every single game. Gran Turismo 5 has the worst patching scheme ever. I think it took an hour or two for it to finish. That's just patching it. And then that doesn't include installing it and caching it. It was brutal. That is kind of why it's nice to have a super big hard drive, so you can avoid that kind of headache. I mean, it happened only once. But did you also know that Gran Turismo 5 stores a lot of its data in the install itself and not in a save file? So I lost my replays, my pictures. But
really?
Yeah, I had my cars, but I didn't. Yeah, I had my cars, but I don't have my replays. I don't have my pictures. They actually put some of that stuff in the install itself and not a save file. So,
well, that was
crap.
Stupid.
Yeah, well, I didn't lose anything too critical, but I imagine for a person who spent a lot of time making awesome replays in Gran Turismo, that is extremely annoying. So yay, there's that.
Yeah, Anthony and I both actually have the exact same drive in our PlayStation 4.
Oh yeah, that's like the first thing I bought. I'm like, 500 gigabytes is flat out not going to last me more than 2 years.
Yeah, I didn't even turn my PlayStation 4 on before I swapped out the hard drive.
Oh yeah, that's like the first thing I did, and now I have a nice spare 500 gigabyte hard drive to put into my laptop for when we go on business trips. Nice.
Yeah. But
Seagate, 1 terabyte solid state hybrid drive, storage for life.
That's
which I hope is the case with this PlayStation, because I don't want to swap this hard drive out again. It's very easy, actually. You just pop the lid off, get a screwdriver, and you're good to go.
Well, that's the good thing about how the way the PlayStation 4 is set up. Like, if you ever needed to replace it, it's not that hard, because everything you back up to the cloud, assuming you're a PlayStation Plus member, and at that point, you have all your game saves. You just have to install your updates and game installs and all that stuff again. Which it's a minor inconvenience, but it's not a huge deal. Yeah, I remember with the PlayStation 3, backed up everything. And gosh, I mean, I have a 3 terabyte external, so it wasn't an issue, but it took forever.
Well, here's the other thing too. You can't use an NTFS file system.
Yeah.
So you had to format your entire drive to be compliant. Because here's the problem, NTFS is
FAT32.
Well, FAT32 doesn't work beyond 4 gigabytes. That's the problem. It's probably uses like some different fat file system or something like that. But here's the problem. NTFS is what most big hard drives, storage drives have these days. That's owned by Microsoft. So Sony didn't use that. So you had to format your whole hard drive to accept, so the PS3 can accept somehow, which means that whatever you have on that hard drive has to, and then it's USB 2.0. So you got to back up like, what, maybe hundreds of gigabytes of stuff over a USB 2.0 speed connection. Good luck. That's going to take a few hours.
Thankfully, the PlayStation 4 is USB 3.0, so even if you don't have Plus, you can back up.
Yeah, but it's 60 megabytes a second. I know, but is 60 megabytes a second really fast enough to transfer 450 gigabytes? It's still really slow. I mean, much faster, but slow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Tech these days.
But even you don't transfer your. I don't think you can transfer your game installs. I think you can only transfer your game saves.
I mean, that's all you really need to do.
Yeah.
Because that's all you really need to do. I just wanted to transfer saves, and the other problem with the PS3, I had to go back into the PlayStation Store and re-download everything that I want on it.
Oh yeah.
Which they have this real obnoxious way, because obviously I downloaded quite a fair amount of avatars from the Uncharted 2 Game of the Year collection. So can you imagine scrolling through that entire list just to download what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Man. Oh yeah, and the PlayStation 3 doesn't have that fast download speeds either. It's only like a megabyte or 2 per second.
Thankfully, it's faster on PlayStation 4.
Oh yeah, like PlayStation 4 actually has modern day transfer download speeds. Oh my goodness.
Still not perfect, but
they worked really hard in PS3. But wow, does it still have some problems from the haunted old days? I do like XMB though. I do like XMB. It's clean, it's simple to navigate, I like it. I dare say I like XMB a little more than the PS4 menu currently. Anyways, I forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, PlayStation 4 Slim Suit. Yeah, I don't think it's happening until next. I don't think it's happening until 2016 at the latest. At the earliest.
Right, we'll see what happens. Like you said, it might just be a new model, but not anything from the exterior, you can tell.
I mean, I think the PS4 right now looks great. Like in white, the white PS4 looks amazing. I love the color.
The white one does look good.
Fricky, if there's one thing the Destiny bundle can do, it's look good. And man, this white PS3 looks really, really good. I love the color. And let's be honest, it looks pretty awesome. It's reasonably small. It's the size of a PS3 Slim, the original Slim, and it gets a little loud, but it's not too loud. And this is from someone who has the PS4, plays the PS4 with it sitting on the same desk. So when you play on the TV, you probably don't hear it that much. So you know what?
I don't ever hear mine.
Yeah, like from where it is, it's right on my desk, and you know what? It's no louder than my laptop. That's fine. That's totally fine. And
Xbox One's like a VCR player.
Oh my goodness, that thing it's like we've got a slower system that's bigger and comes with an external power brick. Yeah.
Like I said, difference between a hardware and software company.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, to be honest, I really don't care. It's cool, but I set the thing down and never pick it up. I press the power on button, my controller, my console turns on. So I really honestly don't care. Like, the original Xbox was the freaking ugliest thing ever. But who cared? It's not like you're moving the thing all the time.
It's not like you play your games looking at your system.
Yeah, so yeah, it's cool for it to look cool. And that few moments opening it up, yeah, it's cool. But after that, you don't really care.
See, for me, it does matter because
like, it's different with like a portable, because with a portable you're taking it everywhere and you're looking at the thing while you're playing it. So a portable is a little bit different.
Original Game Boy Advance, go.
Yeah.
Original Game Boy Advance. Oh my goodness, the Game Boy Advance SP was probably the greatest system revision ever.
The mini laptop.
I'm not joking, it's so great because you think about it, it solved everything and did more. Like, you think about it, it had a backlit, it wasn't backlit. You had a lit up screen.
Before the backlit screens, that was awful. You had to have the lights on.
It was really dark. LCD was dark and you couldn't see.
Yeah, I remember
Even
those
sunlight.
screens you had. Yeah, if you were in the dark, you couldn't see the screen. It was so bad.
Yeah, but the SP did everything. First off, it was much more portable, so it could actually go in your pocket. It's square and it just folds open, clamshell. It still plays your Game Boy Advance games and Game Boy games. It has a rechargeable battery. The screen is lit up correctly. Oh my goodness, it's like one of the best revisions ever. Or at least in my opinion it is. I mean, seriously, like, I only have the regular Game Boy Advance, and then when I saw the SP, I'm like, oh. PS3 Slim was a good revision too, actually. What was I talking about? Yeah, PS4 Slim. The PS4 currently looks pretty good as it is. I know they're gonna revise it in the future to keep it modern, like give it modern looks and all that. Cause yeah, but yeah, not happening until 2016.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see one from Xbox either, just because
Well, if
Microsoft
anything,
wants to avoid the Red Ring of Death issue from happening.
Well,
That was
like I said, well,
huge.
you think about it. After a while,
That cost them so much money.
After a while, they're gonna make it reliable enough that they can safely do that. I mean, freaking the Xbox One. It's the size of a It looks like the size of a VCR.
It looks like a VCR.
It looks like a VCR. Like I think, like Brownson and various other people said, it looks like a Betamax player from the 80s.
Yeah,
a Sony Betamax player. And I looked at a Betamax. I looked at what the Betamax. I'm like, oh wow, it looks almost like that. It's just a more modern, sharper Betamax player, and it has an external power brick. Oh my goodness. But here's the thing, it never runs hot ever. And you probably know why, because they don't want that GPU to melt off its solder. So, understandable
that Red
there.
Ring of Death was...
If anything, I think
how
Xbox...
much money that cost them.
But you know what? That head start was probably worth it to avoid getting blown out by the PS3.
Oh,
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially. And Sony kind of screwed up at the start of the PS3 also. So, that kind of helped. But yeah, like that cost them a lot of money, but look at it. They're like the number 2 console guy right now. At least as far as sales are concerned. What else? Yeah, I think the Xbox One needs a slim much more than the PS4. Because the PS4 looks pretty good as it is.
Yeah, I love the blade design. It's really nice.
It's really nice, too.
I think when they do decide to do a slim, it's probably going to be the exact same design, just slimmer.
Thinner.
Yeah.
They probably, they'll just like shrink it. Just 80% scale.
Like I remember with the PlayStation 3, when it came out, it was a good looking, it was big, but it looked really cool. It was a fingerprint machine. And then they came out with the Slim, and a lot of people are like, oh, this thing is ugly.
Honestly, you know how everyone joked about how the PS3 looked like, was it George Foreman grill?
Yeah.
The Slim looked even more like a grill. I am not joking. My mom saw it and she's like, this thing looks like one of those things that you grill a burger in. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Did you ever see the video of people like frying eggs with their PlayStation 3? You could literally fry eggs with your PlayStation 3.
That's how
Because the thing with how the PlayStation 3 was designed, you'd pop the top off and it'd just be like a metal plate that separated all the components from the plastic casing on the top. So you could literally just turn the thing on and fry your eggs. There's a guy
ran that hot?
There's a guy on YouTube where he took a PlayStation 3 and he cooked himself breakfast with it. He fried himself an omelet.
My goodness. Like, the original PS3, like, freaking, it may be expensive, it may be kind of dumb, but wow, they engineered that thing really well. And I'm not joking, because, like, what did they,
Sony's engineered all their game consoles very well.
I know, but the original PS3, it costed $599 but when people say it costed $830 to make, you kind of believe them, because it wasn't just the Blu-ray drive. The thing felt indestructible. It was so heavy, and I remember thinking to myself, if a nuclear war ever happened, there are 3 things that are going to survive: cockroaches, old Toyotas, and nuclear bunkered engineered PS3s, which is the originals. Because it was that heavy, that sturdy, and it felt that indestructible. Granted, is it actually that indestructible? Nah. But at the time, it was like, oh my goodness, this thing feels so much more substantial than the Xbox I had at the time. Which was like a Zephyr premium 360, which it broke after about 3 years, I think. 2 years? Yeah, 2 years. Yeah. But that's what I thought about the original. Ran very hot, so I can believe why. The original PS3 I borrowed ran very hot, which is why I can totally believe why you could cook an egg on it. I mean, it literally burned pretty bad. Like, cell processing, like, Sony did a very good job spending money on the quality of cell and the soldering for it, because that thing runs extremely hot. I'm not joking. My PS3, it's a slim, but oh my goodness, underneath it, freaking, you probably could fry an egg on the bottom of that PS3 because cell does not run cool at all. Because that was back in the days before they had all that clock stepping stuff now, like they do in the PS4 and Xbox One.
Clock cell processing is supposed to change and revolutionize the world.
Man, that was back in the days when everyone was high on tech specs. It's like horsepower. Everyone was just so obsessed.
I remember when Sony was saying that the PlayStation 3 you could power two 1080p screens off of it, and
oh my god, Sony got really
supposedly the cell processor was going to take over. Well, because if you owned a PlayStation 3, you could use it as your own desktop and all this other stuff. That thing had memory card readers. Like, that thing was freaking meant to be like a PC, is what they were trying to make it.
The memory card readers, I kind of understand. Because, you want it to be a media system and you want it to replace a PC? Okay, fine. I understand. You want that? Alright. But putting Linux on it? Freaking...
I did that.
Yeah, but, like, I'm not joking. This is coming from the PS2, okay? So this is coming from the PS2.
Bad, though.
It's like, I'm not joking. The PS3 still has the feature for you to hook up a printer if you somehow can find a printer. You can use your PS3 with, so you can print web pages off your internet browser. Oh, my goodness, that was...
Yeah, because I've definitely done that.
Oh, man. Like, what else do I want to talk about with the PS3? It's just...
I did install Yellow Dog Linux on it back in the day, though.
Yeah, then they took that feature out, and then they got into what's it called, like a class action lawsuit or something like that, because then they said, oh, you promised you could install an OS, but then you took the feature out, we'll sue you for false advertising.
Yeah.
Don't know what happened with that case. It just kind of got quietly forgotten, at least from the gaming industry viewpoint.
I'm sure there was some cash settlement or something.
There probably was. 2.4, I think, was when they took it out. What else? Yeah, back in the day, I mean, that kind of says a lot about today and 10 years ago, is that 10 years ago, it was about tech. HD was becoming big. Tech. Microsoft's got the 3-core processor that's kind of relative to Cell. Sony has Cell. Tech. More tech. Nowadays, it's a lot about software. And it certainly is a very different thing, because now it's more about optimizing your software and designing a good interface. And you know what? I just can't help but feel that Apple had some hand in that, because when they made... It's not like the iPhone's the most powerful phone. I don't think it was. And it's not like Apple made the most powerful computers, but through software and designing their products well,
they perform better.
Yeah, they perform better, and they were optimized better, and they ran reliably. And then the shift became software and reliability. And nowadays, tech doesn't really wow you quite like it used to in the 90s and 2000s. Like in the 90s, 64-bit processing.
I think that may change with the next consoles when we get into 4K, though, because then you're bringing back into a new resolution, and
yeah, but here's the thing: is like, is tech really?
The next consoles are gonna run 4K. Absolutely.
But here's the thing, though: is like, is tech really gonna like sell a system as well as it used to? Because in the 90s, when computers were becoming mainstream to the point where your house actually had its own personal PC for the first time, everyone was just pounding their chest about how the N64 had 64-bit processing, and computers and desktop computers didn't really have that mainstream feature until like maybe 07 until 2007. Blast processing. That's a thing. Like tech. And then like with the PlayStation 2, the Japanese government considered banning it because they felt that processor in the PS2 could power missiles, could guide missiles. I am not joking, and I'm just like, I thought a Pentium 2 could do that also. But, you know, the Japanese government actually did think about that because that's what the Emotion Engine could do. And then with PS3, with HD was going to be like this new it was the next revolution in television. HD, just, oh my goodness, that sharpness, that color, just, oh wow, you just had to have it. And and you heard specs that were just unheard of. 3 cores? 8 cores? Oh my goodness, what is this? This is like stuff that you can't even find in your high-end desktop computer. Well, you know, the spec sheet at least. It was crazy. 4K? That's not their next revolution in television. So, and here's the thing. Even if they announced a 16-core processor, you wouldn't be surprised because multiple cores is not like a new thing or anything. They could say, oh, we've got a 16-core processor. And I'm like, so? Because, you know, AMD came out with 8-core processors a while back already. So it's less of a clock speed race and now more like a core efficiency race or something like that. But
right.
tech, I don't think tech carries as much as it used to because there isn't any revolutionary tech like it was in the 2000s when multiple cores, high clock speeds, and yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, because I mean, look at the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One now. They're just customized PCs is what they are.
Oh yeah, and cost. That's a huge thing too. Back in the day, oh man, freaking entire companies and consoles could fail on the fact that they spent too much money on the tech, and that was probably spectacular to watch. But yeah, freaking Sony spent so much money making the PS3. Microsoft spent so much money and lost a lot of money making the Xbox 360 and then having to fix all of them. Yeah, that's huge. Nowadays, software. It's a lot about the apps, the programs, the games, the features, the usability. It's very software orientated now, which I think is good because you know, you get a more usable system in a way. Oh, phone. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, freaking like the PS4 and Xbox One are so related at this point now. It's just like, yeah, they both have their CPUs made by AMD. They're both 8 cores.
Yeah, they're APUs too.
Yeah, they're basically slightly custom. They're basically somewhat customized desktop APUs. They're like laptop parts, but yeah, they're basically kind of like laptop parts. And oh man, it's just they're an x86, and they're easier to develop. And when you're easier to develop, doesn't that mean that you can do more cooler games on it in less time? Yeah, x86 is everywhere. Freaking PCs.
And that's why the PS3 had such a hard time taking off, was because no one knew, like, the cell thing was, you're completely starting from scratch here, learning how to develop for this thing. Whereas PlayStation 4 and Xbox One developers like, okay, cool, this is pretty much a custom PC.
Polyphony must be stoked because I read a quote where the guy said, yes, we are very excited to make Gran Turismo 7 because it's easier to code on the PS4. Because let's be honest here, Cell? I mean, seriously, like, is Cell related to any other mainstream processor? No. Freaking, I imagine to work on Cell at Naughty Dog, you had to be like a senior programmer at 20 different companies and have your master's degree. And what else for qualifications? And have worked on Cell at some smaller studio. It's like you have to have your own The Cell reference textbook in order to even be worthy to work on the thing. Probably why multi-plats were like a headache on that thing.
Oh yeah, that's why I got a lot of bad ports for sure.
Yeah, at the start, for sure. Yeah.
But
hey, now it's an x86 PC thing, which, by the way, should say that PC ports should be easier now. I mean, seriously, Xbox One is going to run a DirectX 12, and PCs are going to have DirectX 12, and both these game consoles are in x86, so PC ports shouldn't be that bad, right? Well, apparently I would read stuff like the controls on the PC version of Dragon Age Inquisition are crap. Great. Alright, well,
that's why anytime I PC game, I either use an Xbox or PlayStation controller.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a keyboard and mouse type of guy.
Hey, here's a cool fact. So I recently took out my Windows XP system so I could play NASCAR Racing 2002 season. It's one of my all-time. Hey, you laugh, but it's one of my favorite racing games ever. I'm not joking. That game is really exciting. It's a flat-out NASCAR racing sim. It's like soccer. To watch the game and play the game are very different. Same thing here.
Right.
Watching NASCAR is
The thing with those games always looked awful graphically. Those things were always behind its time graphically.
Oh, this is 2002, and this is back when Papyrus Racing Games were making really good stuff. This is a flat-out racing sim is what it is. In 2002, I'm not joking. It is such a racing sim that it simulates oil and water temperature and fuel pressure. Like, does Gran Turismo simulate oil and water pressure? No, sorry, simulate oil and water temperature? No, but this game does. So anyways, I installed it back in because it's like, what a better way than going to Daytona, hit the brakes, and cause a massive 30-car pileup. Because that's always fun. And I plugged in my PS4 controller, and it worked nicely. It worked great.
Well, your PlayStation 4 controller?
I plugged it straight into Windows XP. No drivers.
Well, yeah, that's what Sony
and it worked.
said.
It's great. I loved it.
They said that that the DualShock 4 was going to be compatible with PCs because I didn't think it was going to be that controller. Because with the PlayStation 3 controllers, I remember I played Borderlands 2 on my PC through the DualShock 3 controller, and I had to install something called Motion and Joy, which pretty much tricks the PC into thinking it's an Xbox controller and makes it work.
Cool.
So
yeah, but
I did a video. I did that on a Nick's Gaming View a long time ago. How to use your PlayStation 3 controller on a desktop, and it worked really well. But yeah, now the DualShock 4, you don't have to worry about that. You just plug it in, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, you probably have to figure out some things with the axis. Obviously, there's some slight axis weirdness. Like for example, in the NASCAR game, it could only detect 2 or 4 axes, so my triggers didn't work. So I had to use my right analog stick to control the gas and brake. So yeah, there was that. But yeah, it worked surprisingly well. It's literally almost plug and play. It's very nice. It's really awesome. So that's a fun little feature there.
Right. So yeah, I've never been into the whole keyboard and mouse thing. I could understand why people would be, don't get me wrong. But
it's very game specific, I should say. Obviously, if you're playing a racing game, yeah, steering with buttons, terrible. But if you're playing something that involves a lot of cursor work and pressing hotkeys, yeah, you need a keyboard and mouse. And with shooters, it's very, it depends on the person.
Right.
Okay.
Cool, so moving along. Us Borderlands fans. Yes. Borderlands Handsome Collection. It'll be coming out March 24th for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Coming out $59.99. And it's going to include Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel. I didn't play much of the Borderlands pre-sequel just because it is on the older platforms. I've heard mixed things on it. I'd like to spend more time on it, and I will get extra time with it now that it's coming to the PlayStation 4. So Borderlands 2, which I definitely do not mind playing through Borderlands 2 again. Borderlands 2 is one of my favorite video games of all time. It's an amazing game. So yeah, you get Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel for $59.99 coming on PS4 and Xbox One.
What's it called again? Borderlands the what collection?
The Handsome Collection.
Oh, Handsome Collection.
Keep in mind, this includes every single expansion ever for Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, which is a lot. I mean, a lot. Like, it has all the collector's edition content, all the expansions, all the DLC, so a ton of content. That's another thing. I never played any of the Borderlands 2 expansions or DLC. This is just like, for Borderlands fans, this is huge. Like, so much freaking content. That's why I'm super excited for it. Every single piece of downloadable content and DLC for both Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel are going to be included. Also, which I'm probably not going to do this, I'll probably start from scratch, but if you played it on your PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 or even your Vita, which surprisingly, you can transfer your game save and it'll work. So it'll pick up where you left off, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
But hey,
Nice.
you want to spend $400 on the Handsome Collection? Because you can. If you want to, you can buy their Claptrap in a Box edition, where there's only going to be 5,000 of them made worldwide, but you get the Claptrap in a Box, including a remote-controlled Claptrap steward bot that you'll control from a companion app from your iOS or Android device. You'll be able to place voice samples of some Claptrap's most iconic lines and look through a camera to see where Claptrap is headed, all while you control his every move while balancing on one wheel. The Claptrap in a Box edition also includes 12 really cool exclusive Vault Hunter lithographs and a collectible steel case. It'll be available for $3.99. So for the price of a PlayStation 4, you can get the Claptrap in a Box edition. And there's only going to be 5,000 of them made. I'm a Borderlands fan. I am not this much of a Borderlands fan. It's super cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. I mean, just like what they used to do with Call of Duty, where they had like the night goggles, and then they had like that remote control like car or helicopter thing or whatever. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. It has like the voices. You get to control it with an iOS or Android app, and it has a camera. And don't get me wrong. It's super, super cool. I'm not spending $400 for it. I'm sorry. If Gearbox wants to send me one to review, I'll happily take it. It'd be freaking awesome to have.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of those limited edition things I'd freaking love to freaking have. And just play with it maybe a couple times. But it would look freaking badass in my apartment. It'd be freaking sick. But the fact that there's only going to be 5,000 of them made, I doubt they're sending those to the media unless you're like IGN or something.
I don't think they would send it to IGN either, because they probably get so many limited collector's editions that they just kind of throw it in a pile.
Yeah. But I'm definitely picking up the Handsome Collection, the standard one, for $60. Definitely. If you're a Borderlands fan, this is what you've been waiting for. I was hoping that they'd bring the pre-sequel to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and they're doing that, but they're also putting in Borderlands 2 and all the content, which is freaking amazing. Like, this is like when I heard this, I got so freaking excited, because there's three my three favorite video game franchises are Borderlands, Uncharted, and God of War. So
Ooh.
yeah, so I would love to see the same with God of War and even Uncharted. I think it'd be amazing. But Borderlands it's one of those franchises. It's like perfect to me because I love the art style, the story, the humor. I love the first person, not necessarily an MMO, but it has RPG and MMO elements in it. Oh man. I love Borderlands so much. And I can't wait for Borderlands 3, which that I'll be super excited for as well. But this will hold me off until then. What about you, Anthony? Are you a Borderlands fan?
I remember playing it, and I'm just not into shooters. Like, for me, it's
well,
just not...
let me ask you this. Did you play Borderlands 2?
Maybe a little bit, and then I stopped.
Because here's my thing. Borderlands 1 I was not too big on. I did not really, and that's why when they announced this and they said Borderlands 1's not in there, I wasn't really bummed out at all. Because I honestly was not a fan of Borderlands 1. But when Borderlands 2 came out and I played Borderlands 2, I got hooked something terrible. I played that game on Steam. You could look, I clocked in probably a good 40, 50 hours with that. And I could have played a lot more, but I had other games I needed to play and stuff. But now I get to go back and play it, and if I want to, I can use my game save, but I have also all the expansions and DLC, and I have the pre-sequel to play. Freaking awesome. So I'm assuming this is something you're probably not going to be interested in, Anthony?
Yeah, I'm not going to be interested in it. However, I do want to make a comment about that $400 thing. Do I feel like Borderlands has enough prestige behind its name to have a $400 collection? Not yet. I mean, like if Nintendo came out with a $400 limited edition, limited run Zelda thing, oh yeah, it would be eaten up like crazy. People would be stoked and just going nuts, and that stuff will be extremely valuable down the line. Borderlands,
Remember
don't
that
know.
Halo that came with the Master Chief helmet?
Yeah, but those you could kind of get pretty easily at the time.
Yeah, Killzone did the same thing with the Hellgas helmet, which was just a disaster because Killzone does not have that type of audience. What other outrageous collector's editions have they come out with that are like that expensive? I know Call of Duty's done a few.
Call of Duty had night vision goggles.
Yeah.
But that was just kind of more like a little toy than anything. However, what I do like is that when they make the collector's edition, they really mean it. 5,000. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. Because I can't tell you how many times I've seen, quote, collector's editions, and they just kind of print it continuously until people stop buying it, then they finally stop. Whereas this, it's like, nope, it's only 5,000. If you miss it, too bad. And then it's really collectible, for sure.
You know what was really cool? And I wish they did it more, because I think they did one every year. I'd probably buy the special edition. What was it with Madden? What was it, Barry Sanders? There was the collector's editions you'd buy, and it'd be a signed copy by Barry Sanders.
I'm not really sure.
You remember those? I'm pretty sure it was Barry Sanders. Let me look.
I don't really remember. Like, I remember Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2, for sure. Like, Uncharted 2, they had a collector's edition that you couldn't even buy.
Oh, and yeah,
I forgot who they gave it to, but those were limited.
Of money.
Those were truly limited and very, very rare, for sure. But yeah, like, do I feel like Borderlands has enough prestige for the 5,000? If Borderlands becomes one of those iconic game franchises in the far, far, far future, okay, you know what, this could probably be worth it. But right now, I don't know. It's not a Zelda, it's not a Halo, it's not a pop culture icon, is how I look at it. But you never know. If they do everything perfectly right, it could become one of those huge franchises, and you could say proudly, I actually own one of the collector editions of this thing and got this robot thing before Borderlands became big, and then it'll be worth a lot of money. So how well they do Borderlands is probably gonna it's probably gonna affect the value of that thing. I actually remembered back when Skyrim first came out, there was like this PC collector's edition, and what they had is that you had a statue figure of Alduin, and so that goes on your desk, obviously. And I remember the PC version just kind of sat around in the stores for a good few months before they finally were sold. So, which I found really odd, because I thought people would eat those collector's editions up because Skyrim was so big at the time.
Okay, yeah, so here's the Madden. So it's called the Hall of Fame Edition, Madden 12. It was Marshall Faulk. So they had a Hall of Fame Edition for $90, and they're each hand signed by Marshall Faulk.
Whoa.
Which makes me wonder. I wonder if I go to eBay right now. I'm gonna see if people are selling those and see how much they're going for. I remember, I think one time I saw one and I should have bought it. So this thing's probably gonna be worth some decent money.
If there's something
I didn't pick it up.
Is there something I may or may not regret, depending how it is? I remember the World of Warcraft Cataclysm Collector's Edition sat on the top of GameStop for a good 9 months, and every time I went into that store back in the day when Bruce and I visit the mall like almost every week, I always look up there and I could never decide if I wanted it or not. It wasn't until Black Friday when I finally decided for sure, because it sat right in front of me. I said, like, yeah, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. And you know what? I probably should have bought it, because, you know, it's probably the only Warcraft expansion I'll probably ever extensively play in my whole life. Even I get it, it's probably one of the worst expansions WoW had, but you know, I still thought it was good.
Oh yeah, they aren't selling for much at all. I was thinking they'd be selling for a lot, but they're only selling for like $30-$40. So
ouch.
But that's surprising from someone like Marshall Faulk, but Moving along. So, Uncharted 4, Naughty Dog has come out and said that for their most recent demo that they had it locked at 30 frames per second, but it's actually running over 30 frames per second. They said that if they can push it to 60 frames per second, they will, but if it sacrifices the game and compromises the player experience, they will not. Not a big issue. Would I prefer it be 60 frames per second? Of course, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker.
It's not a fighting game. It's not a flat out heavy shooter. So it can run 30 frames and I'll be fine with it.
What amazed me was when they announced Drive Club was 30 frames per second, it kind of worried me, but it just did not hurt it at all. It still seems very smooth.
Frickin', I'm playing it right now, and I'm playing on the new Japanese courses they put in. Wow, it's so pretty. But here's the thing, 30 frames, here's the reason why I like 30 frames per second. It feels more cinematic. And here's the thing, like when you look at things in real life, does things in real life move at 60 frames per second smooth as you see on the TV? No, it doesn't. That's why I like 30 frames per second. Now, obviously, when I play sports or fighting games or some very specific racing games, yes, 60 frames is really nice because you kind of need that to better understand your world, have better reactions and whatever. But for the most part, I like 30 frames because it's just more cinematic. Like, everything moves too smoothly at 60 unless you got like the best animators ever. So I remember Mass Effect 2, I saw that at 60 and it was awkward because you could see all the animation imperfections when you turn it up that high. But Uncharted,
I think Forza's 60 frames.
Forza is always 60, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just with Drive Club, it's not like when I was playing Drive Club, I didn't miss it at all.
Considering how fast the camera was shaking and the sense of speed, you kind of don't care as much. That and the cars look awesome. I mean, like, freaking when I drive in real life, my car's moving all over the place, so I don't get the perfect fluid analysis that I would have gotten from, like, say, Forza. Because in Forza, you could say, oh, yeah, it's at 60 frames a second, I can see this happening. Whereas in Drive Club, the camera is shaking so much because going 200 miles an hour in this game is outright scary that it's like, yeah. You don't really miss it. And the cars look really beautiful, too. And it's not, and yeah, that's something. But Uncharted, I always look at Uncharted as more kind of like a cinematic sort of game with some puzzle solving and occasional shooting. So, do I need 60 frames? No, if anything, 30 is great because I freaking, like, Uncharted is like kind of like one of those cinema games to me. And cinema runs at like 24 point something something.
Right.
Some weird decimal number that I don't know,
even 60 frames is like, it's like 59.97 or something like that.
Yeah, like freaking
24 is like 23 point
30
something.
Yeah, 30 is actually 29.97.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. How do I put this? Oh yeah. Also, to push it to 60 frames, let me tell you this: the amount of work that takes to go from 15 to 30, it's like for like a 5 frame per second gain there doesn't seem too bad. To go from 30 frames per second to 60, you're outputting twice the number of frames per second, which heavily taxes the system if it has to draw a lot of effects, animation, artwork, and lighting and all that. It's a lot of work. Going from 15 to 30 isn't really... It's like going from... how do I put this? It's like going from 15 to 30, you kind of need like... That's twice the frame rate. Twice the frame rate of 30 is like 60, so it's like, it's a lot of work. Oh.
Right. Continuing on Naughty Dog. Jonathan Cooper, who is an animator at Naughty Dog, was in a Twitter conversation. So, Joystick, which is a big gaming outlet, they announced that they're going to stop doing review scores for reviews. And obviously, one of the big impacts this will have is on Metacritic. So Metacritic's this big review score compilation where Pretty much, if you're a part of Metacritic, you'll get every game early without ever asking from every single company. Because if you're on Metacritic, that means you affect their score, and everyone will do whatever it takes to get you to review a game.
And probably try to make you
Metacritic,
happy while doing that game.
yeah, and they have very high restrictions. Like you have to have so many reviews so often. They're very strict with Metacritic. Well, Jonathan Cooper came out and he made a comment that, quote, I've had a 96 Metacritic under my belt, but I've also lost tens of thousands of dollars in bonuses because of these numbers, end quote. So it's just kind of one of those things where we all know that there's benefits and can get bonuses if your game reviews well. I don't know. Like, a part of me does not like that. I think, well, and then part of me does. Like, for example, let's look at Destiny. Destiny did not review well, but it sold extremely well. But you get other games that review extremely well, but don't sell that well. So it's like, how do you really determine? Like, you kind of want to say that it really should be based on sales because that's what honestly brings in the money. Like, yes, scores certainly help, but I don't know. This whole like review score thing, it's debatable. I mean, we currently do review scores, but I don't know. I'm half and half on it. Half of me likes having a review score, half of me doesn't. What do you think, Anthony?
Honestly, the way I look at review scores is that, for one thing, it makes it a lot easier for someone to figure out how you feel about a game in one number. For example, like I say, Drive Club, 8.5 out of 10. Bam, that instantly says I really like Drive Club, but it's not the best thing ever. Or if I say I gave Tales of Xillia 2, 7.5 out of 10. Okay, that looks pretty good, but probably has some major problems with it. Like, a score can do a lot, and obviously a lot of people jump to it because they don't want to read. And also when you read, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes what score they want. Like, when I talk about Tales of Xillia 2, you could look at that text, it could say, and my score could have fallen anywhere between a 6 to an 8, and you just wouldn't know. Without, like, you kind of need, like, some number. It's like a grade. It's like a school grade. Like, they don't just say, okay, this is good, but you need this, this, and this. You need a grade. You want to know what you did. You want to know what percentage of it you got right, kind of thing. You need a number to tell you, and words don't fully do it because it confuses you, and everyone takes words differently. And with a number, it makes it much clearer. Like, the way I look at game scores is a lot like school grades. So, like, anything below a 6.0 means the game sucks. It's an F. 6 range, that's a D. You barely passed probably, but you need some serious help. But, you know, there's some hope at least. 7 range, that's a C. You did all right. Probably some couple major problems, but you've got something going all right here. B's, that's good. Solid. Nice. It's good. People who are fans of the genre will love this game. And the 9 range, wow, that's very good. Wow, that's like probably some of the best stuff you can find in the year. And the 10, perfect. Wow, you're never going to see one of these for an ultra long time. Like, The Last of Us comes to mind when you think of 10 rated games. At least for me. But I feel like a review score is kind of needed. It's like a grade. It's like a grade. And unfortunately, the problem is that your bonuses and work performance and all that gets affected because of a number. It's kind of rough because, you know, you can put your heart and soul into it, but only come out with a C, and that just costed you whatever if your company or publisher runs on a review score. Like, and here are things too. I have played games that were rated like maybe 7.5s or an 8. Problems, but you know what? Loved them. Like, for example, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. If I were to review that game professionally today, I would give it 8.5 or a 9, but no more than a 9. Okay, I wouldn't give it a 9.5 because it's got problems. It's got MIDI music. The wolf stuff's not too great. It's the ending of the game kind of was really lame in a way. But you know what? Best game I ever played. And that's just the hard part about what the number doesn't say. The number just kind of says if you put everything together, here's a score, here's what you got right, here's what you get, and here's a number. But it doesn't exactly say specifically how much you love it, from my view. Like, again, 9.0.
That's the thing out too, is it's like, okay, this person's like, here's the thing with this industry, what I've noticed is if a game gets under an 8, people automatically assume it's a bad game. That's how most people are. And that's the thing, like, everyone scales differently. Like, I might, like, my idea of an okay game might be a 6, but Anthony's maybe 7. So if I give the game a set, let's say I give a game a 7, and 2 different people read it, one person may take that 7 as, oh, this game's bad, I need to avoid it, and the other person may say, oh, it's an alright average game, maybe I'll check it out. Like, you know, it's one of those things where it's all up to interpretation. And like you said, a lot of people don't ever read reviews. All they'll do is they give the game this score.
Or they just read pros, cons, score, done.
Yeah,
they don't look in. They don't.
My preference is I like watching video reviews. I don't like necessarily reading reviews, but I like video reviews best.
I should do more of those.
But yeah,
like the thing is that a number. The problem is that the number. This is the reason why you can't just give a number to a game and just call it done. This is why you have to explain in writing or in your video, in narrating, why you think that something deserves a score. Like, Tales of Xillia 2. Why did I give it a 7.5? Well, it is extremely obnoxious. I get that. I probably could have gave the game a 6 because it was extremely obnoxious. But you know what? I really liked its story, and you know what? The combat was fine, even though the game had so many recycled stuff and all that. That's why I gave it the 7.5. But to someone else, that obnoxious, debt-paying grind can completely ruin the game for them. And that's fine. It's just everyone sees the game differently. And the problem with the Metacritic is that it doesn't actually cover all that. It's just a number. It's a statistic. And unfortunately, when you run everything on statistics, it doesn't cover all the finer details. Like, freaking... There are... Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. That's a game. That's a game I would probably give only a 7.5 or an 8. Probably not the best designed. Cheesy story. Has very major problems with it, but you know what? One of the best games I played on the Wii, flat out. It's an 8 game, but it's flat one of the best games, and that's just one of those things that a number just doesn't say. And again, they treat it like scores, and it's just, I mean, is it an incentive to do better? Yes, you want your game to be liked, you want your game to be perfect. It is an incentive. It is motivation in a way. But to use it as the sole judgment to use that in sales as the sole judgment of how well a game is liked, ooh, that's a little brutal, because then risk taking just kind of takes a plunge out the window completely. It's right. Like Okami, like freaking, I like Okami. It's just like, you know what, I probably would buy Okami one day. I probably should. But you know what? The game tanked. And you know what? Clover Studios got closed. And then those guys ended up going to making Platinum games. And now we got stuff like Bayonetta 2, in which we say it's the best thing ever. But again, like, no one bought Bayonetta 2. And that sucks, because people with Wii U should go buy Bayonetta 2. I don't know. It's like a game. You can't just judge the performance of the game on just sales numbers and a score, okay? Sometimes you have to consider stuff like the game's following, or like a following is a big deal too. Like Fire Emblem has a very loyal following, and despite the fact that Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn were not the best games in your series, guess what? I became a massive fan of Fire Emblem just because of Radiant Dawn. That game alone made me stoked for the future, made me hope that the future of Fire Emblem would continue. And that's also important, just like niche things. I don't know, it's just like, I have lost tens of thousands in bonuses because I did not make my game get at least a 98 on Metacritic. Oh, there's just something really corporate about that sentence.
Yeah, and the sad thing,
McDonald's
well, the thing
sells more
is,
food than anyone else McDonald's sells more food than any other restaurant in the world, but that doesn't mean they're like the best or the healthiest either.
Right. Yeah.
Man, that's a shame.
Well, yeah. Well, if these other companies start pulling out, Metacritic may not exist anymore in the future. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. I don't see many more sites pulling out scores because a lot of readers want that.
Oh yeah, like that's
All right,
I'm going to admit that I'm like kind of like I'm guilty of going to Metacritic to look at game scores also. Like I'm guilty of that. I'm pretty sure we all have gone to Metacritic and think, "Oh, I wonder how this game averaged
right.
out to see if I can consider it because I don't feel like reading a gazillion paragraphs to understand things." Because what Metacritic does is they give a score and they give like a one sentence headliner from that review. So, and I get it. I'm guilty of looking at Metacritic for like say something like Dragon Age Inquisition and see, okay, this is something that's worth considering, and I just look at that number and I'm like, oh, 85, okay, I'll probably think about it. But if I see like a 62, I'm like, oh, well, what's wrong here? And
right,
that's what Metacritic does. That's what people do with Metacritic. They just look at a number and again, all they see is a grade. Oh no, this game got an F. I should avoid it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all guilty of doing that. But still,
that's why the companies are so Metacritic is super important to them. If you're in PR, Metacritic, you know about Metacritic for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's an average review score compilation. So it's like here's the average. The average is right. But I don't know. It's just like yeah, I think I've said just about everything.
All right, last news story I have. Are you guys ready for some Call of Duty news?
Hell yes.
This is supposedly, so this is not confirmed, supposedly a leaked reveal poster for Call of Duty World at War 2. And it will be a world reveal presented by Xbox May 4th, 2015 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So I think this is actually the exact same day they revealed the previous Call of Duty. And once again, it was presented by Xbox. It's possible. The only thing that makes me think kind of iffy about it is why World at War?
Isn't that the one that came after Call of Duty 4 and just sucked?
Yeah. World at War was awful. So,
well,
I mean, here's the thing. Advanced Warfare, I think it was a good game. I mean, yes, it's Call of Duty, but at least they started to bring some innovation to the franchise. Yes, still feel like Call of Duty, but it felt slightly new. Going back to World at War 2, though, I don't understand whoever made that call at all. That just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we just have different tastes, but I don't know. Maybe that game has a huge following and a lot of people liked it, but that game was awful. I hated that game.
That is the game that came out after Modern Warfare 4. Sorry, Modern Warfare. Not Modern Warfare. Oh my god. Yeah, the first Modern Warfare, right?
Wait, Modern Warfare 3?
No. Like World at War was like the game that came after the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare in 2000. It was 2007, 2008, right?
Well, Modern Warfare. Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare.
Call of Duty 4.
And
then
then
World at War came after that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm checking right now, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Let's see. I just remember that game was so bad.
Yeah, everyone remembers it as the World War II shooter that completely sucked after. Yeah, everyone remembered it as that.
Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, then it was Call of Duty World at War.
Okay, that was the crappy World War II shooter that came after the greatness of Modern Warfare 1. That's the sad part. Well, I could see some reasons why there could be a World at War 2. One, I don't think we've actually seen a high-profile World War II game in a really, really long time. Like, I think we kind of reached a point where it might be okay to put out a World War II game again, because let's be honest, that era of history got beaten to death by Battlefield and Call of Duty back.
It got so beat to death. I just never want it to ever happen again, though. That's the thing. Like, I've played through World War II a million freaking times. I really don't want to again.
I mean, I have what was it called? Medal of Honor Heroes 2. That's a World War II shooter. Has some of the best shooters.
The one thing, maybe it's gonna be in the future though. Maybe it's gonna be like World War III in Call of Duty.
It could be,
maybe.
Yes, it could be that actually, because Advanced Warfare,
something like
right?
If it's something like that where it's like World War III, that's something that maybe intrigue me. It's still Call of Duty, so not fully, but it may grab a little bit of interest.
World War III scenario, like Advanced Warfare, but World War scale. Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's not like... I'm pretty sure this is made by Treyarch, because they take turns every year. Sledgehammer Treyarch.
Yes.
Like, Black Ops 2 Bronson likes. So... Hey, maybe things are... Maybe they'll do an okay job at this. If it's World War II, you know what? I wasn't actually there for most of the burnout of World War II, so... I'm not really too tired of it, but World War III, you know what? That actually sounds interesting. I'm pretty sure it's going to be some cheesy
Call
Hollywood
of Duty, Battlefield, Medal of Honor. They were all doing it. It was just like, oh, stop it.
Well, they finally stopped when Call of Duty 4 then made modern-day military the next beaten thing to death. And now they're doing the near future.
So who knows? Maybe it's going to be World War III.
It could be. You know what? Now that you mentioned that, I think it's pretty good.
But I don't know, supposedly we'll find out May 4th. So for all those Call of Duty lovers, there's plenty of you, because the game still sells tens of millions of copies.
It's pop culture. I use that word a lot tonight, but that's basically it. Everyone knows what Call of Duty is. Everyone. It's like Pokemon, but shooters. So,
exactly.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I think that concludes the news. Do you have anything, Anthony?
Not that I can think of. There's just a few small things. A GeForce 960 may be coming soon, which I'm really stoked about because I can put it into my graphics computer. Then cry as The Witcher 3 doesn't look good enough on it. So the system requirements on The Witcher 3, it's like you need a modern day i7. That's less than 2 years old. You need like a 970 and maybe 8 gigabytes of RAM, I think. Yeah, the system specs are ridiculous because your $800 gaming system you built today is not going to run The Witcher 3 on max settings at all. Not even close. Not even on recommended. But anyways, yeah, there's that graphics card news. What else? I did not look up the news.
I think that covers most of the big stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh! Actually, I'll save it towards the end. It's website related.
Well, I don't have any other gaming news, so if you want to go ahead and bring that up now.
Yeah, I don't think I have any. I didn't do the search.
Okay, what website news do you have?
Okay, website news. We need to do an article over this, but Bronson and I, we are doing 60-minute access live this week. So what we're gonna do? Because the NVIDIA graphics chips, if you have a nice enough one, can do shadow play, and PS4 it can stream, and Xbox One can stream, and we can hook up a capture card at the same time. We can do a live show of 60-minute access. And for this week, we're going to attempt to do our first one with Heroes of the Storm beta. So you can ask us questions about it. You can, watch us film 60-minute access live, and we're going to put it up on Monday. So if you want to give us your questions, comment, make fun of our terrible skills at the game, feel free. This is on Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is I think we're on GMT -7 right now, or 8. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's GMT's 8.
Yeah, so 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Saturday, January 24th. So that's the big website news.
But we should put up a post about that too.
Yeah, it's getting a little late too. Yeah, I need to work on that.
Yeah, but cool. We're going to be implementing a lot more streaming. We're also going to be thing is we're going to still be doing our scheduled live streams, but there's sometimes that especially for me, for example, I want to stream, but I just don't know when to give an exact time. So stay tuned to Gamer Access. Look at our Twitter or Facebook. There may be a time where I have a couple hours to kill. And I'm like, hey, let me just go and start streaming, and I'll put on my Twitter as well that I'm streaming, and then yeah. So stay tuned to everything we're doing, and subscribe to our Twitch, which is the Gamer Access. So just go to Twitch, the Gamer Access. You'll find us, follow us, and then you'll get I think it's like an email every time we start streaming. So yeah.
Cool.
Any questions or comments from last week's show?
Yes, we got a comment for episode 112. This is from Many T. Think we should have had more than Blu-ray for how big games are getting.
That's funny. We kind of talked about that.
Yeah. So, do you think we should have, more than a Blu-ray, more than just the Blu-ray disc for how big games are trying to fit in there?
I don't think so, just because we have the ability to install the games. So if a game needs to be more than 50 gigabytes, which is dual layer, which is all I think the PlayStation 4 supports, then it'll have the game install on your hard drive and take up, like we said with Gran Turismo 7, it might take up 100 gigabytes. So I don't think that's going to be an issue.
For me,
look at some of the PC games. Just most PC games are downloaded through Steam. But even then, some PC games are still releasing, and they're on physical discs, and those are releasing on DVDs. So that just kind of gives you an idea.
So I think we should have had more than Blu-ray for our big games are getting. So I think if I understand the question correctly, it's the concern that the Blu-ray disc no longer fits everything. Because in the near future, something like The Elder Scrolls 6 is going to burst storage capacity and require 3 disc installs or something. Do you think we should have had more? I don't think so, because from where I'm sitting right now, we kind of live in a more digital age now, where...
Plus, Blu-ray is still relatively new.
Blu-ray is still relatively new, which brings up a very important point. Blu-ray is the current mainstream distribution media. So I remember in the old days, like in 2004, 2005, it would take me 2 DVDs. 2 DVDs? Okay, maybe not 2 DVDs, but you had multiple disc installs. And Blu-ray is actually getting cheaper now to the point where 2 Blu-rays is not going to bankrupt a company's production, or at least I hope it doesn't. Because I've seen so many cases where I've bought in games where they were like 4 disc installs. And, I've had games that took 2 DVDs to install. Is Blu-ray enough? I think so. And even if it doesn't fit all in a single Blu-ray, we kind of live in a digital age, so where everything is downloaded now. So, I think that's what they did with the Master Chief Collection. They couldn't fit every single little thing into a Blu-ray. So what did they do? They put some of it as a download. Big patch download, day 1 patch. And considering that we have more downloadable games now, I think it's going to become acceptable that, you don't get your complete game on a disc. Also, can we have anything more than a Blu-ray disc? Currently, no, because I don't know what the next physical media storage medium is. It's a little uncertain. I don't know what it is. It could be a holographic disc.
Well, the thing is that with Blu-rays, they've already got like half terabyte Blu-ray discs. They're just like several different layers, but
yeah,
it's not. The reader obviously has to support that, which I believe I read not too long ago. The PlayStation 4 only supports up to dual layer, which is what the PlayStation 3 supported.
Yeah,
so...
and that's the cool thing about technology. More layers. Just add a layer if you run out of space. Yeah, Blu-ray Disc XL, BDXL, 100 gigabytes.
Oh, 100 gigabytes. Okay.
Yeah, 100 gig. Well, that's currently so far 100 gigabytes, triple layer disc. Not mainstream yet for obvious reasons. You don't have the drives to really have it mainstream yet, and yeah. Blu-ray is just kind of like the standard dual layer DVDs now. So yeah, that's nice. You can actually add layers to it, but the way I kind of see things, physical media, just it's kind of on its way out slowly. I mean, you don't even load from the Blu-ray disc anymore. It's just an install because hard drives are so much faster at loading games. In the case of the PS3, the Rockstar got kind of creative with it by having the game load from both the hard drive and the disc at the same time, which is pretty smart. But yeah, 100 gigabyte triple layer discs. That's probably not going to happen until PlayStation 5 or something.
Well, then I don't know. I don't think Blu-ray's gonna be enough then, because then we're talking about 4K at that point.
We're talking about 4K and
Although
1 and 200.
They do have 4K movies on Blu-ray though.
They do, yeah.
You can buy 4K movies.
4K movies in 3D. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh man, for the ultimate home theater experience. I haven't watched a Blu-ray. It's gonna be really interesting the first time I watch a 4K Blu-ray movie. That's for sure.
Oh, I've seen. They're unbelievable.
I'm not joking. Like, here's the thing. It's not the jump.
We have a
like
lot of Sony stores over here, and every single time I see one, I'm just like, I gotta buy a 4K TV. Second. It's like, yeah, but that's because it's only a handful of movies that are in 4K, first of all. Second of all, my games aren't 4K. So to be honest, for at least a couple years, none of my content's really going to look like that. But then at the same time, it's like if it's a 4K TV, it's a high-end TV. And if I'm going to be spending a lot of money on a TV, I might as well get a 4K.
Yeah. I mean, I am just amazed.
At least upscale my games to 4K.
I am amazed at how fast they plummeted in price, because when we were at CES 2013, and this was only 2 years ago, by the way, 4K was just coming out to consumers. And Sony was like, this TV will cost you $13,000. You could buy yourself a pretty nice used car for $13,000. And here we are today, and you can get one for $2,500, $3,000.
Yeah, and those are for the high-end ones too.
Yeah, those are the high-end ones.
You can get like Vizios for like under $1,000.
Yeah, like 4K it's a step forward. It's not revolutionary like when HD first came along. It's a step forward.
Yeah, I think 4K is kind of at that point where that's going to be kind of the resolution like benchmark, because it gets to a certain point where your eyes can't detect the difference with resolution.
Yeah, at that point, you're basically just focusing on the LCD screen quality and the color capacity and your smart TV capabilities and other stupid gimmicks. Like, I am not joking. Like, when I went to Best Buy about a few months ago, 4K was around, but people weren't biting. 3D TV has kind of pretty much stopped on the height meter now. And I walk around and I see this new Samsung TV. I think it's a Samsung, and it was curved, like physically curved. And Samsung. The Best Buy sales associate told me, it's like, yeah, it's one of those new things they have. And I'm like, so what is this for? And he's like, oh, it's for parties, because you know how you stand to the side of the TV when you get your drink or whatever, and you can't see the TV. With a curved TV, you can still see some of the image. And that TV, I think, was like maybe $3,000 or $5,000. And I asked him, so if I get an equivalent flat regular TV with the same picture quality, how much am I paying? And he said, oh, it's gonna be about $1,200, $1,000 at the time. And I was like looking up like, why would I buy a curved TV? This is really gimmicky.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the curved. LG announced that yes, they're coming out with TVs though that they're coming out this year that you can buy it and you can choose between curved and non-curved. So I don't know if it's like some setting and the TV will literally curve in front of you or something crazy like that.
Oh yeah, it's the LG Flex but bigger.
Yeah.
And much more complicated, so when those motors break, you're screwed. Because I imagine you don't physically bend the TV yourself. That's just ridiculous.
No. Yeah, that'd be retarded.
You would have like motors in there to do it for you if it was somehow physically bending. I don't know. That's just really gimmicky. I'm sorry. Like, I don't need a curved TV. I'm sorry. I kind of see more promise in Oculus Rift and Sony's Project Morpheus and Microsoft's HoloLens than I do in curved TVs. Which, by the way, I
wonder when Morpheus is actually going to be on store shelves.
That's a really good question. I mean, we freaking couldn't like even see how it worked when we were at E3 because of the line.
Yeah, it bums me out.
Yeah, Morpheus is going to be interesting.
I'll be really curious to see how that is. But
yeah,
cool.
So that's our only question for
else?
Unscripted. That's our only question for Unscripted this week.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Please leave more comments and questions. Next week, hopefully, we'll have more than just Anthony and I. But thank you guys for listening. Leave comments and questions. We'll address them on the show. Look out for 60-minute access live on Twitch this Saturday. There'll be a post on the website probably by the time this podcast goes up, so you can get the details there. Follow our Twitch, follow our Twitter, The Gamer Access, follow our Facebook, and obviously follow the site. Thank you guys for listening. We are out.
Have fun.